there, fellow travelers! If you're heading to London, you're in for an amazing trip. But there are some key things you need to know before you go. From must-try British eats to classic tourist mistakes, sneaky scams, big do's and don'ts, and even how to actually use the tube without looking like a lost tourist. I put together my best London tips in these videos, so grab a cuppa, mind the gap, and let's dive into everything you need to know before visiting London. The biggest issue that tourists have when they come here, and that is the fact that London is not a cheap place to visit. Now, there are free things you can do to take down the cost, but I can't lie to you. The worst part about coming to London is just how expensive it is. Whether it's accommodation, transportation, the museums you actually have to pay for. Things just happen that your money just kind of disappears. And the thing is, sometimes your money disappears when you don't even realize it. Like when you forget to tap out after you tap in, whether you take the tube. And so it's just a plain fact of life that this place is expensive. And one thing I think is important to think about when we're looking at the expensive nature of London is a lot of people will spend a lot of money to get here, thousands of dollars to get here from the US. And then they'll be like, oh, it's like 25 pounds to go into this museum? Maybe I won't go. Like, wait, you already spent 2,000 pounds to get here. Why not spend another 20 to see a site that you really want to see? So things like paying to go up St. Paul's. Yes, you got to pay for it, but it's worth going up there. Going to the Tower of London and seeing the crown jewels and the beefeaters. Yes, it's worth it, but it is expensive. So I think it's really important before you come, you kind of plan out your budget for what you want to do. So you're not like getting turned off last minute about seeing some of the sites because of the price. Because honestly, it just feels like your money disappears like doing nothing here. Okay, now the second thing you're probably not going to like when you come here is when you're trying to find accommodation. Really, I like to call it the accommodation conundrum. Because this is something that the locals have as well. Finding a good place to stay at a reasonable price. Look, you're not going to get anything cheap, but you need to really think about where you want to be and what you want to see so you know where to plant your stuff or set up your accommodation. And the thing is, no matter where you stay, you're not going to have a ton of space. So I would really recommend packing light when you come here, because whether you're at a hostel or a hotel or any other place, space is always at a premium here. Even if you're at a luxury hotel, space is at a premium and you're paying for that premium. And you're like, wait, what am I getting for it? Not a lot. And so that's something that does frustrate people. And that's why what I recommend, look for a place you want to stay that's where you want to be, where you're going to spend most of your time. Are you going to spend most of your time by Victoria Station and, going down to, Westminster Abbey down there? Okay, then maybe you look for something there. Maybe you want to go to Soho and you want to stay there and have some fun there. That's what you want to think about. And then realize how much time you're going to save if you're staying where you want to be versus having to take the tube and going out. That's why sometimes the trying to save money by staying farther out of the city kind of gets you in the end. If you got to take, if it's too late and there's no tube available, you got to take a cab, or if you're trying to get to an airport, and you don't have a public transportation to it, that can really add up to it. So yeah, the accommodation conundrum is a real issue. But the thing is, you're coming to London. Why? Because the first thing you're going to love, the fantastic museums and sites and experiences when you come to London. I mean, let's be honest. You want to go see the Tate Modern. You want to go see the British Museum and the Rosetta Stone. You want to go to the Tower of London. And yes, it pays a lot, but you know what? It's worth it. You want to see these sites that you wanted to see since you were a kid, and they really come alive when you're here. Because there's really so much to do for everyone. That's why if you're a kid, you can enjoy London. If you're an adult, you enjoy London. If you're a grandparent, you can enjoy London. It doesn't matter your age. It doesn't matter your gender. It doesn't matter anything. There's going to be something for you when you're here. And what's great is a lot of the best sites are actually free. Change of the Guard, that's free. British Museum, that's free. Tate Modern, that's free. Walking along the Thames and taking that in, yep, that's free too. Because honestly, you just love all the stuff you can do in this city. That's why people come back again and again and again, like myself, because there's always something new to check out and new to explore when you're here. So with all the tourists that are here and all the fantastic museums and sites that you can see, there are also some tourist traps that go in there, because when there's lots of tourists, there's lots of reasons why you might want to separate them from their pounds, right? And I will say this, realize there are some tourist traps here in London. I actually have a video on the tourist traps and the scams of London. But I will say this, most of the tourist traps actually here in London are worth it for a lot of people. Like, some people say, like myself, hey, Madame Tussauds, is it worth it? Well, for me personally, no. But when I take my kids there, they love it. So it's one of those things you got to think about is when I'm planning out my budget, because of the price for things here and those tourist traps, some of them are tourist traps just because of the price of them. You might want to kind of debate, hey, can I offset paying for that expensive touristy trappy kind of thing with seeing more free museums or doing things that might mitigate some of the prices, or some of the costs. I just want to kind of put that out there with all those fantastic sites. There are some that Might be a little more than they need to be. Though I love the sights here, I will say this isn't really a hate, it's just a heads up kind of thing. When you do get your picture inside the telephone box, make sure you wash your hands afterwards. You'll understand. Now, the second thing you're going to love when you come here to London is actually the pub life. I mean, pub is life when you are here. And it's not just laughing at the names of some of the places or just enjoying the atmosphere and having a few drinks or maybe a bite to eat or meeting the locals. It's all of it together, because the pub is life when you are here. And when the city gets out of work, about 5 o'clock, all of a sudden the pubs fill up and you have people just knocking down pints with their friends or coworkers. They're just out having a drink. And that's one of those things. When you come here, this is your opportunity to talk to the locals. And it could be a local that was born and bred here in London, or somebody that moved here 5 years ago from Spain, because they're all Londoners. And the pub is where they all come together. So that experience of going there, ordering at the bar, having a bite to eat when you're there, it's just such a fantastic experience. And I do have to give you a hint. If you are getting food at the pub, make sure you look at your table number, because you got to order at the bar, okay? They're not going to come and give you table service, right? They're going to order there, and then they'll bring it to you, right? So just be aware of that. But honestly, the whole pub life experience, and there's some great pubs, like from historical pubs to new pubs, any kind of thing you want to do or drink or whatever, they have it here, because the pub life is fantastic, and you're going to love it. And also, I could put the nightlife along with that. So, yeah, you're going to have a good time in the evening when you are here. If it's going to a West End show or going to the movies or going to a concert or just going out clubbing and having fun or, going to the pub, you will love that when you're here. Now, I got to talk about something that's not so great when you come here. And you knew it was going to come. And you know I was going to talk about the weather. But I'm going to say this. You're going to hate the fact that the weather's unpredictable, because sometimes you can come here for 2 weeks at a time and it's sunny every day. That actually happened to me before, and I actually got sunburned when I was here in the summer because, well, the sun does come out. But I will tell you, if you're going to come here in the fall, the winter time, the weather isn't something you're really going to enjoy. So you've got to make sure you're bringing not just a jacket, but make sure it's a rain-proof jacket. And if you need to get an umbrella, believe me, when it rains, there'll be umbrellas out at all the shops. Pick one up. But that unpredictable nature of the weather here in London, you got to make sure you check that 10-day forecast, and every day before you go out, look at the hourly forecast. What is it really going to pick up? Because, for example, today I've been walking around and it's fantastic, but I saw about 3 o'clock it's going to start getting stormy and start to have a little rain, or at least a 57% chance of rain. So in my bag, I have my umbrella and I have my jacket to keep me out of the rain. But if you've ever been here when it's raining like sideways, or it seems like it's raining upwards sometimes with the wind, you'll understand why the weather might not be something you like when you're here. But hey, in the summertime, usually you're actually pretty okay. See? Sunburn. It happens here, the weather. What are you going to do about it here in London? I don't know. I honestly don't know. Another thing I love about coming to London is just the fact that you can have legitimate food from around the world that really tastes like it's from where it is. And that's one thing I love about here. With all the immigration that's come through here, all the tourism that's come through here, how the Brits were all over the world, all that food is here and you get legit stuff. You want great dim sum? You can have great dim sum. You're missing Mexican food from home? You can get it here as well. Maybe you're banging for some Brazilian meat. You can get that here too. I mean, Portuguese food, anything with Afghani food. You have such fantastic food here in London. But what I love about it is that it's legit. It's legitimately legit. So like we lived in Portugal, we miss American food or we miss Mexican food. We come here to have legitimate American food, legitimate, Mexican food. And it's just so awesome. I mean, it's so crazy how much great food there's from all over the world, that there's actually good British food here as well. Who knew? And no, I'm not talking about Pizza Express and Spaghetti House for great Italian food. Hey, they've got these places got their place, but I mean like legit Italian food, legit Indian food. Oh my God, it's so good here. You will have the opportunity to have real food from where it's at from people that know what they're doing, which is going to make it even more fantastic. So that's why when you come here and eat here, you get to find cuisines you've never had before, and then it inspires you to want to eat them more and more and more. Because the stuff I had here, and once I had it, I had to have it again and again and again. Lebanese food, fantastic. Honestly, just today, I had incredible dim sum, which I just love, 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 love. Just had some incredible Lebanese food. And I even had some good British fare earlier in the day. I mean, you can't go wrong with the food in this city. Now, the fourth thing you're not going to like about when you come to London is the fact that the city is just so big and just unwieldy. Like, look, you're going to have to use the tube. It doesn't matter what the price is, just tap in, tap out, and go. Because you need that. Because even though there's all these sites, you want to go site to site to site, by the end of the day, your feet are going to kill. So you need to use the public transportation. And for some people, that's a little bit daunting. Here, you shouldn't have to worry about it because literally if you have a Google Pay or a tap and go card, you can just tap and go when you come in, tap and go when you go out. Now, you're probably not going to like if you forget to do the tap out part because, oops, you're going to get another little thing to make it even more expensive staying here. But I think the key thing is that with that unwieldy size of the city, it becomes very important that you plan your vacation. You plan where you're going to stay. You're going to plan what sites you're going to see and when you're going to see them. Because if you're trying to go from the Tower and then Buckingham Palace and out to Wimbledon or something like that, that's not really your best bet to do it. You want to kind of tie things together so it's a little bit easier. So see Big Ben, Parliament, do the London Eye if you want, go see, Poets' Corner and Westminster Abbey, kind of put those things together. And then another time you kind of put things together in a different route because that'll make life a little bit easier. Because honestly, you'll just walk. And yeah, I mean, it just gets a bit much sometimes. Believe me, you won't even realize how much you're walking. I've been using the tube today. It's 5:30 in the afternoon and I've already gone 11 miles of walking. Yeah, and it's like 5:30. Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. Like, you don't understand how big the city is, how many things you're going to be seeing and doing and keep going and going and going. So make sure you take a break occasionally. Sit down, have afternoon tea, go hit up the pub. Because honestly, you're going to need that because the size of this city is so much that it might be too much for your footsies. And you don't want to have foot problems when you're walking around. Ugh. So another thing you're going to love about coming to London is actually the fact that you can leave London so easily because the day trips are amazing. And the day trips can be really anything you want. You want castles and palaces? Oh, head out to Windsor or go to Hampton Court and see where Henry VIII hung out. I mean, that's one of the best ones you can do. Or maybe you want to give the old college try. Yeah, you can go visit Oxford or Cambridge. Or maybe you want to see old world England. Yes, well, you can go to Canterbury when you're here. Or what you could do, if you don't want to do it on your own, you can actually do tours from here, which actually make it a lot easier to visit certain places around here. For example, you can do a day trip to go to Stratford to learn about Shakespeare and his history. And believe me, taking the tour from here is a lot easier than getting there yourself, okay? Another great tour you could do from here is you get a tour of the Cotswolds, and that is I went back to the Hobbit times and stuff. I mean, just so beautiful when you're there. And you go to multiple places when you're there. Another great day trip you can do, or one you can do on your own, or you can do a tour. You can head out to Stonehenge. You want to see the big rock standing there, or you can get to Bath, or you can actually do both. But if you're going to do that one, I think you need more time between those two. But honestly, it can be a day trip. But honestly, you can have so many things to do here. If you get tired of the hustle bustle of the city, you can go to the Cotswolds where it's more chilled out. Or you can go to, heck, with the trains here, you can get up to York in like an hour and a half, 2 hours to see that. I mean, you have so many options when you're here. I wouldn't really consider York a day trip from here, but you do have a lot of options, whether it's Brighton, Canterbury, the Cotswolds, wherever. But I think my favorite one for nearby is probably going to Hampton Court. Like, that's a really fun one. And then if you want a city, I'd probably do Bath. Oh, and if you want to be really crazy with your day trips from London, you realize it's only a little over 2 hours to take the train from London to Paris. Yeah, go in the morning, have your croissants for breakfast, eat a great lunch, go and see the Eiffel Tower, then come back in the afternoon or evening. It's doable even on that train. I think there's the fifth thing you're not going to like about coming to London. Really, I'm not going to say it's over-tourism because, yes, there are tons and tons of tourists that come here. I mean, millions of tourists come to London. But millions of tourists have been coming to London for years, and I'll talk about how good they are at managing that on love number 5. But for me, the hate about the tourism kind of stuff here is the inconsiderate tourists. Like, London is probably the city that I see the most inconsiderate tourists in total. The ones that are blocking the entrance or the exit to the tube, or maybe they're holding up the line, or maybe they're blocking the street to try to get a picture, But I think my personal favorite inconsiderate tourist is probably the tourists that are dragging their big luggages behind them, the wheeling luggage, and they're just running over people's feet and whacking into them, whether you're, at Paddington, or you're coming in on the train, or you're on the tube, or you're just walking around, or you're walking by Buckingham Palace, so you see these things. That's the thing you're really not going to like. It's not the over-tourism, because they do a great job with that, but it's just the inconsiderate tourists, just how many more inconsiderate tourists you have here in London than pretty much any other city I ever go to, okay? And since there are so many tourists here, whether they're inconsiderate or considerate, another thing you might not like are the number of pickpockets you might have to deal with when you're here. Even when you're walking in front of Buckingham Palace with the change of the guard, you got to keep your eyes open. I alluded to the thing that was good about the way they handle the over-tourism. I think that's the fifth thing you're going to love. It's just the tourism infrastructure and how well it is run here in London. Look, I know I talked about expensive accommodation. I talked about fantastic museums. I talked about all kinds of stuff. But what's amazing about London, even with all these millions of tourists that come here, it runs well. Yes, you do get to go to Westminster Abbey and see it when you're here. Yes, you can do the tourist traps and it's okay and it'll function. Yes, you can see the change in the guard and they'll let you know what days they're on and they're not. And that's just it. It's put together so well that no matter what budget you have, what you're looking to do, there's something that you can do here and it's set up for you to enjoy it. Whether it's coming in from the airports, if you want to do the budget traveler tube version of it, or if you want to do the Heathrow Express version of it, you can do that. And they have it all here for a whole gambit of tourists. That's why you'll see young people coming here on their very first vacation abroad, or families coming here for their first family trip abroad. Things are set up for you to enjoy here. From the tours to the people, heck, the policemen, how they'll help you if you ask questions, the locals if you ask questions. They're awesome here. And that's one of the things I really think is really important for people to understand is the infrastructure they have in place here makes this a doable destination for travelers of all backgrounds, all desires, all levels of travel experience. Because even my mother can figure out the tube all by herself. I mean, the tourism infrastructure is so good, they actually help you not get hit by cars when you cross the street. And with that infrastructure, you also have the black cabs here. And I gotta say, the black cabs, they're entertaining to take and they know everything about the city. So if you do take one, they'll take you around and be almost like a tour guide, but also if you're not sure where something is, they will know. However, as I want to be helpful also on the budget side of it, do know that the black cabs do cost more than the Ubers. So if you're looking to save money and you don't want to have an educational tour of the city while you go or have your questions asked, go for the Uber. But that's just it. The infrastructure's here for whatever budget, whatever you're trying to do, you can do it. One of the easiest ways to make money off of tourists here, if you're a scammer, is pickpockets and thieves. And you do need to pay attention here. Now, I got to tell you this. I know some people think that all my scam videos are about scaring people off. No, when you come to London, nothing's going to happen to you. I'm just giving you the heads up of things to look out for so you're better prepared so you don't have to worry about these things, okay? Because most likely none of these things are going to happen when you're here, but I want to give you the forewarning just in case. And that's why the pickpockets, when you're going around Covent Garden, Piccadilly Circus, Leicester Square, any big major tube line where you're kind of like got a lot of people going around, the changing of the guard, those are all places where you have lots of tourists smashed together and people don't notice they're getting bumped into. That is perfect prime target for pickpocketing, okay? So be aware of those situations because you're going to go to those places. They're all tourist things you're going to do. Another thing I think is important for travelers, this is one that's kind of picked up a lot more recently, is people leaving their phones on top of their table at the pub or at a cafe or a restaurant or a bar, or they leave their wallet on there and people just walk by and snag it. You might not even be thinking about it. You might not even notice it, but boom, it's gone. So make sure, keep your phone in your pocket, keep your wallet in your pocket or your purse. Do that. And also never put your bag on the back of your seat because people can just walk by, especially if you're here, like when it's a nice day, like, look, this beautiful day today, we're going to be going out doing stuff, sitting outside, having a drink. Those things makes it really easy for people just to walk by and snag it. All right. So keep your bags in front of you under your table. Now, another thing I want you to look out for are fake beggars and fake charity seekers or fake donation seekers, because one thing you have to realize is a lot of the beggars in Europe actually are part of an organized group. And so when you're donating, those sob stories they're telling you, they're not really true. All right. So do take it with a grain of salt, whatever story they tell you about how they need money, because they know there's a lot of tourists here and there's a lot of gullible tourists. So it's going to be very easy to separate the gullible tourist from their money. So don't let that happen to you. And that's why it's also important to realize you don't want to fall for the fake donation seekers. And I know the kind of fake monk is kind of like the stereotype of this, but it's not just for that. There's people that are be trying to raise money for various causes or get you to sign a petition for something. They try to size you up. Look, you don't live here. You're a tourist. Your vote doesn't count. It doesn't matter. Just walk away. Okay, I just want to give you the heads up for that. And please, for the love of God, if they tell you that the stuff they have on the ground they're trying to sell you is legit Gucci or something like that, oh my goodness, it's all fake. It's always fake. It will always be fake, okay? So don't think you got this great Gucci gift when you were here in London, because, yeah, that was a knockoff. Now, another thing that's kind of important to realize, when you come to London, there's a lot of places that actually don't take cash, or they prefer if you just kind of tap and go. And when you think about it, if you take the tube here, the subway, it is all just tap and go. You can use your phone or you can use your credit card to tap. And that kind of tap system is very easy for people to come and kind of steal your money. You know, again, bump into you. Oh, I just took $5 or $10 off your card. Those things can happen. So what I recommend, if you do have that kind of tap credit card, make sure you have an RFID protected wallet so they can't like
scam money off you that way. And if you are using your phone to tap to pay stuff, turn off the signal while you're walking around and only turn it on when you're going to purchase something, okay? Because it may be only a few bucks here or there, but those people are getting it from a lot of people, and you don't want to help them, and you don't want to be out 10 bucks. Another scam you might see around London, and I'll be honest, this one's died a lot since I first started coming many years ago, but occasionally you'll still see the overly helpful person, and it could be they're trying to help you buy your train ticket or your tube ticket, or, oh, I'll take a picture for you, get your group over there. I know it sounds like it's something from Christmas Vacation or a European Vacation movie or whatever, but these things still occasionally do happen, so there is a reason why I'm doing this with a selfie stick. Hey, look, there's my arm. But you want to be kind of aware of that. So just be aware. I mean, the people here are friendly and helpful. But if it's a little over the top, you might want to have your eye open a little bit more, okay? Now, another thing you want to look out for are show tickets. The thing is, you can go see a really good West End show when you are here, no problem. Actually, if you go the day of a show and go and say, hey, you got anything available? You might be able to get a really good deal on those tickets instead of paying an arm and a leg. The thing is, you want to make sure you're buying from official West End, production theaters kind of stuff. You don't want to be buying from some random people off the street saying, oh yeah, we can get you tickets. Here you go. I haven't signed up. You're fine. Have a good day. Just go to the box office or go to one of the official ticket places where you can buy tickets and do that to avoid the chance that might not be legit. I'm not saying they're all not legit, but it's something that you really need to think about so you're not trying to go in to see Matilda and they don't let you in. Now let's go back to your credit card or your debit card. And I think another set of scams I want you to think about are ATM scams and credit card skimming scams. Because the thing is, there's tons of ATMs around London. You have no problem getting cash out. But in general, you don't need cash anyway. So this shouldn't really be an issue. But if you do get cash out, make sure you're paying attention. If the ATM looks a little weird or something's been messed with or there's an extra lip or something on where you put your card in, go find a different ATM because there are people that put those little skimmers on that are there. There might be a little camera watching you. So do pay attention and make sure you cover your fingers when you're putting in your PIN number just to be safe. But honestly, probably the biggest scam when it comes to your ATM cards when you are here is if you take out cash and the bank asks you if you want to do the conversion to your home currency. You never do the conversion to your home currency because you will always lose and that bank will always win. And I've seen it before. We're talking almost 30% difference in what the exchange rate that they give you versus what your home bank would give you. So you take out money, make sure you say no conversion, just give me the pounds. I'll let my bank deal with that, okay? And of course, London is immune to the usual scams that we all know. The mustard scam where someone bumps into you and oh, I'm sorry. Did I spill that on you? Here, put your bag down. I'll clean you off. You have a good day. And they're gone and your bag's gone because their buddy stole it. Here, though, you find it more as the pigeon poop scam where they're oh, you got some pigeon poop here. Let me help you out. Look, you can take care of yourself and never put your bag down. And the thing is, those people are usually dressed very nicely, so you're not even suspecting them. But their friend's right behind them to swipe your stuff, and they're not in trouble because they didn't do anything. Their friend is the one that took your bag. Another classic is the found ring or giving you something for free scam, where you'll see someone come and go, oh, did you drop this? Oh, well, you need to give me money. Or here, have a free bracelet. Look, if someone ever offers you anything for free, it's never free. They're going to want something, so be aware of that. And that includes you thinking you could win the 3-card Monty or the shell game or any of those things where it's oh, pick where the ball is, pick where the coin is, pick where the 50-pound note is. Those things happen all the time in every city, and I see people fall for it everywhere, where it's Chicago, Paris, here in London. Look, you're never going to win. And you may say, well, that guy won. That's his friend. Well, that little kid won. Yeah, the little kid kind of wins. So maybe send your kid to play because they might get a chance to win, but you don't want to play any of those street games if you do see them because you are going to lose. Another kind of more tech-savvy scam that you see when you're here, this is another one you see all over Europe. You see it in the US. I've seen it all over the place. It's the fake Wi-Fi. And the thing is, the fake Wi-Fi is people who are I want to connect and I don't want to spend my data from home because it's so expensive. So I'll sign up to a random cafe's internet or a random hotel's internet, or I'll go to a restaurant or a pub and then I'm I'll use their internet. What you want to make sure you do is you ask the location where you're at, what is your Wi-Fi signal? And find that Wi-Fi signal, because if it's the Albert Wi-Fi, then you're going to click on the Albert Wi-Fi. Because what happens is some of the scam artists will put in a fake Wi-Fi signal that's spelled or sounds like the one that's the official one for there. And you just want to make sure you have the right one, because that's one thing. If you're going through there, you put credit cards in there, all kinds of stuff, you can have a really big problem because they can really easily steal your data, all right? But there are some areas where you might want to pay attention that you don't upset the locals. And a lot of that has to do with tube etiquette. And it really starts when you first get to the barricade in the tube. And that is when tourists don't have their Oyster card or their travel card or their credit card they can tap with or their phone they can tap with to get into the tube. They don't have it ready when they get to the barricades. They get to the barricades, they pull their purse, their backpack, or they start searching for it then, and it starts to bunch up the line behind them. Look, have your stuff ready, then go to the barricade, because you literally have so many options that you can pay with. So please, have it ready, and then go to the barricades, okay? And then once you get through the barricades, the next thing that kind of annoys the locals, if you stand on the left side of the escalator, and this is a big city thing pretty much everywhere in the world, but remember, stand on the right, walk, or like some people do, run on the left. And you'll actually see signs throughout the tube here saying, look, stand right, walk left, because there's a lot of people going. And that's one thing, if you're going to hear somebody say, excuse me, that will probably be the time when you've got your luggage on the left side or you're just standing lackadaisical, la la la, on the left side of the escalator. Now, another thing that irks Londoners when it comes to the tube is when people just bunch up at the doorway, like in the tube. You know, like you're in the tube and everyone stands right by the door and there's all this empty space in the carriage, and they get kind of upset that people don't move down into the open space of the carriage so we're not all smashed up at the door. But the funny thing is they also get upset when you ask them to move down to the empty space as well. So it's one of those catch-22 things that they're upset no matter what. And the thing is, with the doors, I think is actually the most important thing that might upset the locals when you're looking at the door stuff. It's just, if you try to get on the tube before everyone else gets off, because then it just becomes a big like smash fest, like demolition derby thing. And don't do that. Just let people off, then you get on. And please, if you're a tour group, one thing that will really irk the locals that they're just like, oh, is when the tour group or a group of tourists come down the escalators into the tube, they get to the platform, but they only stand at that kind of like entryway to the platform, and they block the entire entryway. When there is an entire platform you can stand on, you can spread out through, and they don't. So you might notice a few like side eyes, terse looks if you're blocking that kind of entryway to the platform. And the thing is, I wanted to start with these kind of tube-centric annoyances, because that's really where you're going to have it the most in terms of ways you might upset locals. And that's not your fault. You're not a normal tube rider. You don't know. But there are other things that do irk the locals when you're here. And one thing is queue jumping or line skipping or queue skipping, however you want to say it. Because here in London, it's a big city. There's lots of people going on. There's a lot of things going on. But people believe in the line. They believe in the queue. You stand in the queue, you get in your spot, you wait your turn, you don't complain, you don't do anything, you just stand there and you wait your turn. And if someone tries to jump in front of people or kind of skip the line, that is one thing that will definitely upset not just people in London, but everyone in England and the UK, because that is very much a thing here that you don't want to do. And kind of following on with that skipping the queue kind of thing that upsets the locals here, if you're going to a pub, another thing that's going to upset the locals is if you kind of try to sneak in front of them in line at the bar. Like when you're trying to order and you see people are there and you're like, I'll go on the far side. They'll never notice. Oh, they'll notice. If you sneak in front of them, not cool, man. Locals won't like that. Another thing that's probably more of a mild annoyance to the locals is when tourists walk around with their big luggage or their wheelie luggage all around town. I mean, there is left luggage places at all the main train stations. There's companies that literally work with local businesses where you can leave your luggage for like an hour or two, no problem. So there's no reason to walk around dragging your luggage, taking up the sidewalk and running over locals and other tourists' feet. So please find a left luggage place and leave it there, because it's not a fun situation dragging it around. And if you're like, oh, we want to go see the change in the guard, they won't let you go near the change in the guard if you got a suitcase, all right? So be aware of that. And another thing, and this is one thing is in any big city, it's just when tourists really stop in the middle of the sidewalk abruptly to take like a picture or a video or something, because you have to realize is London, I found an empty street. That's why I'm filming here, okay? But usually London is packed full of people, and there's people, no matter where you are, somebody's right behind you. If you stop right away, boom, they're going to run into you. And that's one of those things that annoys people. So if you see you want to get a picture, oh, there, I can see the eye, I can see the shard, I can see, oh, look, Parliament, oh, Big Ben, oh, you see those things? Just step to the side so that people can go by and you get your pictures and you're fine. But that is one thing I see. Even other tourists get upset with other tourists that stop in the middle to take a picture. They're like, hey, let me get my picture way out like this to take up all the room on the sidewalk or on the pavement. So do be aware of that. It's about being aware of your surroundings, just like anywhere in the world. But sometimes we forget that when we are, coming to a big city, a famous city, we want to see things and we just kind of get in all that tourist awe. So do be aware of it. Now, another thing that tourists do, and I know people usually blame Americans, saying, oh, those are loud Americans over there, is actually just being loud. Like, whether you're in the pub or you're in the tube or you're on the train or you're walking around, The people in London don't like loud. That means loud talking, loud music, anything like that. I mean, come on. Those people that walk around like with a speakerphone talking thing, no, you don't do that. Have the headphones in. The speakerphone, like listening to your music out loud, no. Headphones. That's how they like it here. Because you don't, I guarantee people are annoyed because they don't want to hear your conversation and they don't like your choice of music. And the thing is, when you come here, the locals, they live here. They know the city. They know the issues and stuff. And sometimes tourists just annoy the locals by pointing out London facts or kind of misfacts, like when they complain about how expensive it is. Look, the locals know how expensive it is. They live here every day, so they know that. When you complain, oh, there's just so many tourists here, there's so many people here, oh my goodness. Yeah, we know, the city's awesome, everybody comes here, it's okay. We know that, so you don't have to complain about it because you're here as well to enjoy the cool things they have. And also, when people complain about the rain here in London, and I'm gonna tell you, look, it's not raining now. It doesn't rain all the time, and it doesn't rain hard. Occasionally it does, but when it rains here, it's more like a spitting rain. Like you're just never really totally wet or anything, it's just some rain. I mean, I have friends that lived here for 20 years. They don't have an umbrella. They just wear like a rain jacket and they're fine. And when tourists complain that, oh, it's going to be cloudy and rainy every single day, cloudy maybe. Raining all the time? Probably not. And then one annoyance that could get you really hurt when you do come here to London is not paying attention when you cross the street. Now you may say, well, what does that have to do with annoying the locals? Well, when the locals are driving around, they don't just have to pay attention to like actually driving. They have to watch out for the tourists that don't remember to look right before you cross the street. I mean, people, it's written on the pavement. It's written on the sidewalk. It's written at the crosswalk. Look right, look right, look right. And people still go, no. Oh my goodness. And I've seen tourists get hit by cars numerous times here. I've seen people do the jump back because they almost get hit. And that's one of those things that the locals get a little irked with when they're driving, like, please, just look right. I mean, we've written it on the pavement for you, okay? Most of the tourist traps here in London are actually fun to go to, and if you've got kids, they're actually really, really good. But I know that some people want to know what are places I maybe should put lower on my list to go see, or maybe ones that might feel like a tourist trap so I can save my money, okay? Because that's one of the big things here is more of the tourist traps are more of a losing of your money trap than they are actually not worth going to see. So I want to put that out there first. And if we're looking at some of the, like just the old standbys for tourist traps, you know, Madame Tussauds, the London Dungeon, the Clink Museum, Ripley's Believe It or Not, you know, these kind of museums that are kind of standard anywhere you go around Europe or you go around the US, you'll see these kind of museums all over the place, you know, torture and dungeons and oh my goodnessiness. Those things are all over, so you don't necessarily have to do that here. You can do that other places, but if you have kids, they're actually fun for the kids. And I know Jocelyn, she loves going to the wax museums, Madame Tussauds, but that's one thing I think is important to mention for some of those tourist traps, just to get that out of the way. And probably one of the tourist traps you're definitely going to see and definitely get pictures of is the London Eye. And the thing is, the London Eye, it's just a Ferris wheel, which is cool, don't get me wrong. It has a nice view, but you're stuck in there for 30 minutes going around, and it's not cheap. I mean, we're talking, if you're taking your family with you, we're talking, you know, we're paying for a few meals with what it's going to cost to actually go around that with your family of 4 or 5. So that's one thing I think is important to mention with the London Eye. It can be a nice view, but honestly, it's more, for me, it's better just to look at from the outside and have your pictures of it and move on, because yeah, it's a bit over the top in terms of tourist trappiness. Same kind of thing if you look to the London Shard, you know, it's the, you know, the tallest building, and there's actually an outlook you can go up and see, but you have to pay for the view. And frankly, London is much better with the stylized skyline or seeing it from down below at street level than it is from above, okay? So I wouldn't waste your time going out there for that, because it is kind of a tourist trap. Like if you have to choose between one view, I would probably do the London Eye over the Shard. Now, another tourist trap that some people find is actually the crown jewels. And I'll be honest with you, I can understand how the crown jewels can be kind of a tourist trap, because going to the Tower of London, which is something you have to do, that's one of my favorite things to do when I'm here, but the tourist trap nature of it is if you want to see the crown jewels, you have to go to the tower, and the tower is a very pricey experience. So that might be something that kind of turns you off and makes it feel a bit like, well, I've got to pay all this. So if you do go see the crown jewels, make sure you go do a tour with the beef eaters, do those things, because honestly, you feel like you're getting kind of ripped off with the crown jewels, because they literally have you on a conveyor belt going by. Now, some more tourist traps you're going to see when you're just walking around. I gotta say, Piccadilly Circus, for as famous as it sounds, you've heard about, it's basically just a bunch of road crossings with some lit up signs all around and like a statue in the middle. Like, that's it. Like, it's not really much. You're just gonna walk through it. Leicester Square, also a tourist trap. If you want to go see a movie, go someplace else in London because it'll be a lot less expensive than going to see it there. And speaking of walking tourist traps, going to Abbey Road to get your picture, I mean, come on, you kind of waste your time. It's like going to Strawberry Fields in New York City where it's just this thing in the ground. You're like, okay, I got a picture of it. But it literally is, it's a working crosswalk. So, you know, it's not that exciting. Another thing that's not as exciting as you think it's going to be, or as magical as you think it's going to be, is going to platform 9 3/4. So if you go to King's Cross, you'll see a huge line there, like snaking back and forth to go get a picture of people holding onto the trolley going into the wall at platform 9 3/4. And the thing is, the tourist trap nature of that is it's not really where it happened in the movie, and there's a huge, you know, tourist shop next to it just for platform 9 3/4. So that can be a bit much. But if you're a Harry Potter fan, again, it's worth waiting in the line for 30-45 minutes to get your picture and then move on. And I think that kind of goes into another kind of tourist trap nature is any place in London that's an Instagram spot or famous because it was in a movie, some of those things do get kind of tourist trappy because people overplay it. Now, another tourist trap I think is important for people to know is the Heathrow Express. Now, the thing is, if you have a lot of luggage, the Heathrow Express coming from Heathrow into London is actually a good thing to do. But if you only have like a carry-on bag or a backpack, taking the Heathrow Express is significantly more expensive than just taking the normal tube in. So I know for myself, I just take the tube in from Heathrow because it's cheap, it gets where we want to go, it gives me more options than just going to one station. So something to kind of think about. And going along with the airport kind of theme, I think another tourist trap are overly cheap flights that come in at bad times. Because you'll see flights to London that are great, especially if you're all over Europe. You'll see all these great flight prices, but the problem is you'll get to Stansted Airport at like 2 in the morning. Is there a train to get you in? Is there public transportation or a bus to get you in? And if there's not, you might end up spending 100, 200 pounds, $200 to take the taxi in. So your $35, 35 euro, 35 pound flight actually ends up costing you like 300 pounds because of the transportation. So do check the prices for multiple airlines and look at what the overall cost is to get into town with that one, because that's one that a lot of tourists fall for. Another thing I think is important to mention is the shopping at Harrods or Oxford Street. Yes, window shopping at Harrods and window shopping at Oxford Street is fun. You should definitely do it. But the actual shopping part, that's kind of a tourist trap because you can find these things online. You can go to your local shops and buy these things at probably less than what you're going to find on Oxford Street or in Harrods. Now, another thing that happens in all big cities that are always tourist traps, or any kind of rickshaw or pedicab, anything like that, you got to realize once you get on that you're kind of at their mercy. So you need to make sure you're negotiating the price before you get on, because otherwise you might think what would have been like a 20-pound ride turns into a 50-pound or 100-pound ride because maybe it's based on meters gone or time. So you definitely want to kind of get that set beforehand, because otherwise you could be out a lot of cash for not going very far with these rickshaws and, you know, the pedicabs and stuff. Another tourist trap that I really don't like, and I have this in my scams and my don'ts and my mistakes, is if you go to an ATM or you go to a shop and when you pay with your credit card, you're not from the UK, and they offer to convert your money, your payment into euros or dollars, you never want to do that because they always get a better exchange rate for them and you can lose out. Like I've seen 10, 20, 30% differences in exchange rates. And so that's really ripping you off as a tourist because they're like, oh, you're guaranteed what it's going to get. Just say, no, thank you. I do not want the conversion. And I'll tell you, some restaurants and some stores will tell you, oh no, it's better for you to take the conversion. They're lying. Okay, a lot of times the servers don't realize that their bosses are making more money off those tourists when they do that, so they just tell them it's a better thing to do, and it's not. You want to make sure you get charged in pounds, okay? First don't I have for you is don't skip out on using the tube. It will make your time here in London so much more efficient, so much quicker to get around, so much easier, and so much more of a typical visit of just being in London, because the tube is a part of being in London. And probably the most famous saying you'll hear from the tube is, mind the gap. And when they say mind the gap, that means don't forget to look before you leap, before you go into the train, or when you're getting out of the train, because sometimes there can be quite the gap between the train and the platform, and you can get hurt like really bad. So do be aware of that. So that's like a little safety thing here. But I think before we actually get into the don'ts when you're on the train, we need to talk about some of the don'ts before you actually get into the platforms. And that is, one, don't think you have to have a travel card or an Oyster card to take the tube here. You can actually, if you have one of those credit cards that you just tap, you can just tap to go in. If you have a phone that you can pay with your phone, like Google Pay, boom, you can just tap and go right in. So you can use that. So don't think you have to use that little kiosk machine to get a travel card or get up an Oyster card or whatever. You can just use what you already have, because I know some people, just the thought of that kiosk thing scares them and keeps them from doing public transportation. You don't have to worry about that, all right? So with that, I have to tell you is don't forget to tap in with your card or with your travel card or your Oyster card or your phone when you go into the tube, but also don't forget to tap when you come out, because you need the card, you need the travel card, or you need your credit card that you paid with to get in. You've got to tap that to open the barriers again, okay? Now, if you're a family and you're coming here, one thing I got to tell you, you can only get one person on that credit card tapping in. So if there's multiple people, you need a credit card for everybody, or then you have to get the travel cards to get people through, okay? But also, if you have the travel cards too, don't lose those. You need those to get out of the barriers as well, okay? Now, when you're coming up to the barriers to go into the tube, my next note for you is don't wait to get out your credit card or your travel card or your Oyster card, because people will just run into you. You're not going to make a Londoner more mad than you get up to the barrier and then pull your purse up or your bag up to go look for your card. No. Stand to the side, get it out, and then go to the barriers and go in, all right? And when you go in and you're going to take the escalators, my next note for you is don't stand on the left. The left is for the people that are in a hurry, that are walking down or a lot of times running down the escalators to get to their trains. You stand on the right. You have your luggage, you stand on the right, all right? And I think that's another thing to mention. Don't bring your luggage on the tube here, because there's not a lot of space on there. Like my cousin who I'm here with, he's 6'1", something like that. His brother's 6'6", and we're joking, thinking about how much fun it's going to see him whacking his head on so many things in the tube, because there's just not space, okay? So be careful with that. So if you're going to be needing to take the tube to the airports or something like that, you want to take it in the middle of the day when there's a lot of people on there, because you don't want to take the tube during rush hour, because it is so packed, especially if you have luggage, all right? So be aware. Also, don't think it's the same price for the tube all the time, because if you travel at peak times, i.e. rush hour, the ticket costs more. They're going to charge you more for that. So be aware of that. Now, my cousin just reminded me, he's like, Mark, don't forget to tell him about the zones. And you have to realize the pay structure is different depending on the zones you're going to be traveling in, from zone 1 to zone 6. And I'm going to tell you, if you're going to be coming here, don't stay out in zone 6. It's too far out. Pay the money and stay close to zones 1 and 2. That's going to be more helpful as a traveler than going out to those farther ones. Also, the farther you go out of the zones, the more it costs you to come in. And the thing is, when you're coming in on the tube, another thing I think is important, when you're coming down the escalator and you're getting to the platforms, you'll notice these big archways that you kind of get onto the platform for. And tourists tend to do this. They have their big group of tourists and they just stop right at that entry arch. But you have to realize there's a whole platform there. You could walk down the platform. Don't just stand at the archway, okay? It's a little annoying for people that are trying to get on the trains. Also, when you're on the train, there are some don'ts there. 1, don't eat any stinky food. No one likes that. You don't drink on the tube either. You don't have alcohol on the tube. That's not allowed. Also, don't man-spread. Look, you don't need that much space, pal, all right? We all been in the bathroom, all right? You're fine, okay? So don't do that. Also, don't think the seat next to you is for your luggage. If you have your luggage or you have a bag, you're going to put it in front of you, okay? And my people that wear backpacks, don't wear your backpack when you're in the tube. Take it off and put it in front of you. 1, just because you don't whack people, but also that's when pickpockets are there, because I got to tell you this, don't be unaware when you're on the tube, because there are pickpockets, especially at some of the busier stations, busier stops, or peak time when it's really packed. You don't notice that person accidentally putting their hand in your wallet to take your phone, or in your purse to get your wallet or whatever. So do be aware of that. Now, one of the things that really makes the locals sad here is whenever there's replacement bus services, and I gotta tell you this, don't forget to look for closures for certain lines, because sometimes lines are closed, sometimes they're doing maintenance, sometimes there's an issue. So do be aware of that. But what's cool is they actually announce those things. There's like a board when you go in that will tell you where the issues are, so you know if you're going to be on the Victoria line if there's an incident, or Northern line if there's an incident, whatever. They tell you so you can plan around it. Also, if you're looking for an app that's going to help you, don't forget to download City Mapper, okay? Because on there, it has the tube trains too. So if there is delay, it's already set up. It makes your life so much easier. Because some people think, oh, I'll just use a Google map thing. It'll be fine. I'll just check on my phone. I got to tell you this. Don't expect cell service in the tube. It's not going to happen. I mean, if it's outside, when it's the tube that's above ground, when you're in the farther zones, yeah, you'll get a signal. But if you're in zone 1, you're underground, you're not going to get a signal at all. So don't expect it. So I know you may have an app that tells you things, but don't forget to get a map of the tube so you have it. And the thing is, when you're looking at the map of the tube, don't forget, you're going to see different colored lines for different lines, right? So you'll know what color is associated with what line. And if you want to know what direction it goes, don't forget to look at the end station. That's the direction it's going, okay? So you know where you need to be and which platform to be on. And what's cool is don't be sad if you're that tourist that has to look at the little sign saying, oh, these are the stops going this way and these are the stops going that way, because they have that stuff to help you when you're there so you know what stops are on that train, on that platform. Use that to your advantage. And honestly, if you're lost or you have any issues, don't be afraid to ask. The people that work for the London Underground are super helpful, and they're there to help you, and they want to help you, and it will make a difference. And also in terms of when you shouldn't expect the tube, don't expect the tube on Sundays, because that's when they do a lot of the maintenance work. So things in the morning on Sundays can be sometimes difficult. Like if you're planning to take the tube out to an airport, or they're planning to take the tube to get to a bus to take you to an airport or to a train station, you might be out of luck. So do be aware. Sundays are a little hit and miss sometimes with the tube. Now, another thing I think I should tell you is when you come and you're on the tube, don't talk to me. Look, I'm not saying me. I'm saying when you're on the tube, you don't talk to people on the tube. You don't talk on the tube. You don't sing on the tube. You don't listen to your music out loud on the tube. The tube is a quiet time. It's a quiet space, okay? So remember that when you're there. Remember your manners when on there. Don't forget to give up your seat if you see a pregnant lady or someone with small kids or an elderly couple. You give those up, okay? So please don't forget your manners when you're on the tube. Oh, and another little hint, don't breathe too deeply in the summertime. It can get a little, let's say, ripe on the subway in the summer with all the travelers here and not everyone visiting Bath, England beforehand, let's say. Now, another don't I have for you is don't freak out if you miss your stop, because sometimes it's too full and you can't get out, right? But it's okay, because if you can get out at the next one, you just go over, take the tube back. They run frequently, like every 2 to 5 minutes, 7 minutes, 10 minutes. There'll be another train coming, so you'll be okay. So don't freak out, because I've seen people really lose it because they missed their stop. Look, it'll come back around. They just get off, go to the other side, you'll be fine. And also, going back to the kind of check your closures things, don't be surprised if you see the locals crying when they say replacement bus service for certain parts of the tube, because it is kind of frustrating when you're taking the tube and there's replacement bus service for a few stops because they are doing maintenance, so do be aware of that. Now, a couple more little things I want to say about don'ts when you're in the tube. One, don't just stand by the doors, because what you'll see is there'll be a big clump of people by all the doors, but then nobody in the middle. Move to the center of the carriage. It'll give you a lot more space. You'll be more comfortable and not everybody smashed right there. And also, if you are the people by the door, don't stand in the way of the people trying to get off, okay? Or the people trying to get on. Just try to move out of the way so they can get on and off. And that's why, for my travelers that come here, I know some places it's like the door is open and it's a mad rush both directions. Don't forget to let the people off of the tube before you go in, okay? One kind of mistake I think I see tourists make the most, and it can be the most dangerous for you, and actually the one that takes out the most tourists overall when it comes to London, is they don't look right. Look, you have to realize when they drive on the left side of the road, you need to look on the right side first when you cross. Because I've been coming to London for years. I've seen a number of tourists get hit. Actually, last time when I was here with Liam, we saw 2 tourists get killed because they just walked off the wrong way. It was a horrible kind of thing. So you really want to be careful with that. And then the other really big mistake people make is they don't realize there's so much to do here in London. They try to do everything, like everything in a day or two or everything in a weekend. London has so much, you really do need to come back multiple times to see everything or stay for a longer period of time, because if you try to do everything, you will get burned out. This city is huge, and if you're going to be going Canary Wharf, the Tower of London, Buckingham Palace for the change of the guard, like you're going to be go, 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 go. You're not going to get to enjoy your time here. You're just going to be burned out, okay? So just be aware of that, because that's one thing I see people, mistake I see them making again and again and again. Plan it out, relax, don't try to do everything in 1 day or 2 days. And when I talk about planning, I think another thing I need to tell you is, if you're looking at coming here and you want to see the change of the guard, a mistake people make is thinking that the change of the guards here at Buckingham Palace are every day. They are not every day. You need to see and make sure there's going to be a change in the guard at 11 in the morning. Otherwise, you might come here and nothing's going on. So about a week before you come, just check and see. Are they going to be on Friday or not, or Thursday or Wednesday? What days are they doing it? So you know, so you can come in and you can see the change in the guard, because it is an important thing to really do. Another mistake I see tourists make, and I actually have warnings here, is they think, well, London, it's this cool city and everything's safe here. And you do have to really be paying attention in busy spots like here at the change of the guard, where there's all these people focused on the change in the guard, or maybe you're, Piccadilly Circus, Leicester Square, Covent Garden. There's places where you really need to pay attention to your wallet, because there are thieves here, okay? Don't think this is all, yes, safe, Britain, everything would be fine. No, you do need to have a heads up for that too. So another mistake when you're coming to London is when you're picking the wrong airport or the wrong arrival time when you're coming in. Because, you see all those great deals for flying into London, right? And you're like, wow, 35 euros or $200 or whatever it is. You're thinking this is perfect. But then you get into Stansted on a Sunday at 2 a.m. There might not be trains to get in. There might not be public transportation. And those cheap flight tickets might cost you a lot more, because you have to take a taxi in or a cab or an Uber in, and that kind of influences things. So when you're looking for flights to London, make sure you don't just look at the cheap airlines. Look at some of the legacy carriers like British Airways or your country's airline, and you might see that actually the overall total cost of getting to London and getting into London might be cheaper than actually just doing the cheap ticket. Another mistake tourists make is they spend money when they don't have to. Look, go see all the free sites first before you go to some of the more expensive sites. You can go to the National Gallery, you can go to the British Museum, you go to the Tate Modern. All these are free. You can go and enjoy. Go see the change in the guard. It's free, so you can actually see a lot of free stuff before you start spending money on going to museums. Another mistake tourists make is they don't use public transportation to its best ability. And yes, that means using the tube, taking the buses sometimes, and sometimes actually just walking is your best way to get around, because there's so many sites that are close together that it might only be a 15-minute walk, but it'll be 10 minutes of walking down in the tube to find the tube, and then getting out at the other stop might actually take longer. So don't make the mistake of always taking public transportation, but also don't make the mistake of not taking it. And sometimes, honestly, the over-reliance on public transportation, there's so many sites, there's so many things to see here in London that you literally could just walk between some sites instead of taking public transportation. So be aware of that when you're kind of planning out your daily route when you're here. And the thing is, if you do want to do that, you do want to go see a bunch of stuff. Another mistake some tourists make is they just take cabs around town or Ubers. They're kind of scared to take the underground, the tube when you're here. Look, you can take the tube all over. It is super simple. No, it's not a cheap ride, but it's worth it to get around. So don't keep that out of your planning for coming here, because it's going to make your life a lot easier, because you'll sit in a traffic jam for half an hour for what would be maybe an 8-minute tube ride. So something to kind of think about. But on the other side, don't think you always have to take the tube, because honestly, sometimes it's faster to take the bus or just to walk to a destination. So if you're going to be coming from Victoria Station to Buckingham Palace, just walk. Don't worry about taking a bus or figuring out to go to Green Park to take it and get off there and walk here. It's just faster to walk. But when you are on the tube, there are some mistakes tourists do make when they do go on the tube. One, don't walk up to the barrier to go in and then look for your ticket or your travel card or your Oyster or whatever, your Oyster card. Have your ticket, have your travel card, have your Oyster, have your phone, your credit card, whatever you're going to use to tap in. Have it already ready when you go up, because otherwise people are just going to kind of bump up into you when you're trying to go in. That's one thing. Another mistake they make is they stand on the left side of the escalator. No. You stand on the right. You keep your luggage on the right, because there's people that are trying to catch their train, their tube. They're going to rush down those escalator steps, okay? So stay to the right. And when you're on the tube, when you're coming down those escalators, another mistake I see tourists make is they kind of come through the threshold onto the platform, and then they just stop right there. What you have to realize is the platform's very long. You can go to other parts of the platform and not just stand right there where you come off the escalator. So move down farther, and also when you get on the tube, you can move into the tube. You don't just have to stay by the doors, okay? Those are some of the mistakes I've seen tourists make. And the last tube one I want to talk about, because we actually have a video on the don'ts of taking the tube, is when you're leaving, make sure you tap out as well, because you can use your phone, you can use your credit card if it's got the little tappy thing. You can do that, but if you don't tap out, it charges you more. So make sure you tap in and tap out. Another thing I think tourists make the mistake of is really falling in love with those red telephone boxes. Look, no one's making phone calls from those telephone booths anymore, okay? They're more like urinals these days than anything, because when you go get that cute picture in front of there, you might notice a weird smell because yeah, it's kind of changed for what it's really for. So just be aware of that. And maybe don't have your little kids crawl in there to get the pictures. Now another mistake, and if we go back to like the museum free stuff, another mistake I see tourists make is they kind of over rely on some of the tourist trap destinations here, because there are some tourist traps and some are really worth going to see and some aren't as much going to go see worthwhile to eat, I guess you'd say. But you have places like the London Dungeon, the London Eye. If you want to go to, you know, Madame Tussauds, or please believe it or not, these are really definitely tourist trap kind of places. Now you can have a good time at them, but honestly, if you're here in London, it's your only visit, I would go for the historical stuff over that, and I think that's where you could be making some mistakes. Now, if you come here with little kids, I would say go to like a London Dungeon or something like that to make it fun for the kids, or Madame Tussauds, because for them it's worth it. But if you're, you know, if you're coming here for a historical visit or something, I think that's a mistake people make. They over rely on those things when you should go to the British Museum or the Tate or something like that. Now, we've been talking about all this tourist stuff. We also need to talk about some grub stuff when you're here. And pub culture is definitely a thing when you come here to London. And I think one mistake tourists make when they go to the pub is sometimes they're looking for a seat, or they go to a restaurant and they're waiting to be seated. But you have to realize, the pubs especially, you go find your own seat, okay? You don't sit there and wait, because no one's gonna come up and say, can we seat you, sir? How many in your party? I mean, some places do that, but in general, you don't. You just go and find a seat. And the thing is, the mistake I see people make is they sit there and wait for servers to come. The servers don't come to your table at the pubs. If you look on your table, you'll see a number, like in the table or on the thing that's holding like the napkins or the menu. What you'll do is you'll figure out what you want to eat, what you want to order, and then you walk up to the bar and order and tell them your table number. They will deliver the food to you, and you take your drinks with you back to your seat, okay? And a quick little mistake that kind of goes along with that is some tourists make the mistake of thinking the British ales are just like normal beer. You have to realize when you're having your drinks here, your ales here, they might be a bit stronger than they are back home, so you might get a little more bang for your buck in terms of the alcohol, so do be careful with that. Now, another thing you have to realize, I know people talk about that it rains all the time in London and you'll always be in the rain no matter what time of year it is. That's a mistake. Now, I'm not saying it doesn't rain, because it does rain a lot when you're here, but I've actually gotten sunburned multiple times visiting London, so make sure you kind of prepare for all weathers. Like right now, I'm okay with this, just with a quarter zip on and some t-shirts underneath. I actually have a rain slicker in my backpack in case it does rain, because it will rain. Things will, you know, rain and weather changes during the day when you're here. Even if it says, oh, there's very little chance of rain, it still could happen, or it might say it's gonna rain all day, it might not rain at all. But you're not being prepared for all the types of weather that might come is really important. That's why whenever you're coming to London during the year, make sure you look at that 10-day forecast before you come, so you can be prepared and realize maybe I don't need to take this, or maybe you do bring shorts here in the summer. Now, no matter if you're wearing shorts or trousers or pants or whatever, another thing I think is important is, since there's a lot of tap to pay kind of places, there are people that will have these RFID readers that will like try to steal your money from it, your card or your phone. So do be aware of that, and maybe have an RFID protected wallet when you do come here, just in case. For your phone, maybe turn off the payment option when you're not going to be paying things, and turn it back on when you don't use your phone to pay like that. Now, another big mistake I see people make, because we're all used to taking ride shares, right? Like the Ubers and Lyfts and stuff like that. But I really think it's a mistake not to take a black cab when you're here in London, because the cabbies here in London, they're not just someone that's driving you following Google Maps to get to your destination. They know the city. They'll tell you the history of the place you're going to go to, and if there's a traffic jam or something going on, or there's a dignitary going through, they know the other ways to get to your destination. So definitely do the black cabs over Uber. Now, it's fine if you do to take some rideshare kind of program, but honestly, the black cabs, it's almost like a tourist destination in and of itself. Now, another thing I want you to remember is some people don't take advantage of the Thames when they're here, and it could be just having a drink along the Thames, or maybe going for a walk. Heck, going to the South Bank and just exploring over there with all like the new food kiosks they have around. But there's a lot of stuff you can do on the Thames. Just taking a boat trip up and down, a boat tour on there, can be very entertaining and give you something to do during the day when you're like, oh, I'm tired of the walking, but I want to take in more of the city. That can help you out. Now, I've talked about all those tap credit cards and phones and stuff like that, but another mistake I see tourists make, especially tourists from the US, is they kind of they're laissez-faire with their coins here. What you have to realize, they've got a £1 coin, there's a £2 coin, so that's like, you know, a $1.50 coin and a $2 or $3 coin depending on the exchange rate. So literally a handful of coins could pay for your dinner easily. So don't just be throwing away and making wishes or whatever. You know, use those coins when you're here, because one, when you take it back home, you can't exchange them, but two, they're worth a lot, okay? So use them. They're not like pennies back in the US. And the thing is, if you're coming here and you're lost or you have any questions, another thing I see tourists do is they're scared to ask for help. What you have to understand, the police around London are fantastic. They will help you. Even if you're not sure, how do I get to this site, or which way is the best way to cross the road, they'll tell you. They'll be glad to tell you. They'll be glad to help you. And it's not just the police that are helpful, the locals, the shopkeepers, they're gonna help you as well. So don't be afraid if you are lost or if you're not sure about something to ask someone. Because honestly, for a big city, London is super polite and helpful. And I think that's another thing some tourists forget, is their manners when they come here. Your pleases, your thank yous. And when you're on the tube, you let the pregnant lady sit down, you let the elderly couple sit down, you get up for them, because manners are really a thing here in London, even in a big city like this. And when you come to London, I know it's such a world famous city, you want to be here all the time, but I really think that's a mistake some people make, is that thinking that London is England and it's the end all be all of England. If you've come to London, you don't have to explore more. Honestly, go out and explore more of England, and you don't even have to leave. Like, you can still stay in London and go explore more on some really great day trips. You can go to Cambridge, you can go to Oxford, you can go to Brighton, heck, you can get all the way to Bath. I mean, heck, it's 2 hours to go to Liverpool if you're a Beatles fan. Go spend the day up in Liverpool and come back down. I mean, you have all these options for really good day trips from here that you can do. Going to Hampton Court, just getting out of the city can be a really great time, so you're not just having a city vacation when you're here, you can get a lot more out of it, all right? Now, I know there's a lot more mistakes that tourists do make when they come here, forgetting the right adapter because the plugs here are different than mainland Europe or the US. I mean, there's things that are gonna happen out here. Not knowing the right way to do the queue culture, standing in line here is the thing. Do not make a tourist mistake of not respecting the queue, because that is one thing tourists, they mess up. The locals will let you know about that you messed up in the line, all right? Oh, and kind of adding on to the queue line culture kind of thing about not skipping the line and not skipping the queue. Same thing, if you're up at the bar, at the pub, ordering your drinks, and you're trying to sneak in front of people that are in front of you to order their drinks, yeah, they're not gonna like that either, so just be aware of that one. Now I'm gonna give you the things you don't do when you go to London. And the first thing you don't wanna do is don't forget to look right. The biggest thing that gets tourists when they're here is they walk into traffic thinking, oh, I look left, then right, then left, and I'll be fine. Wrong, they drive on the other side of the road here, people, so that means the cars will be coming from the right. So look right, and then left, and then right. Otherwise, I hope you didn't forget to get your insurance, because bam, you're gonna get hit. So that's the first don't. The second don't we have is don't forget to tap out your Oyster card. Look, public transportation in London is expensive. And if you're gonna be taking the tube a lot, you know, £3 for one ride, that's like $5. That €4 or $5, that's a lot of money. So what you wanna do is get an Oyster card, which will make it cheaper to ride, so it's like half price. But the thing is, you tap in to get in, but also you have to tap when you get out. Otherwise, they'll charge you like a super mega fee, like you went out to an airport or something and came back and eat up all your money. So don't forget to tap out. The third don't of coming to London is don't think that this is England. London is an international city, and you've got people from all over the world. So you got great Chinese food, you got great American food, great Mexican food. You got people from all over that work here, live here, have children here. This is a super international city. I mean, for me, it's the most international city in Europe, with all the different people that come here and mix and stuff and match and have a great time, but also work and live. And the thing is, people come expecting the Downton Abbey kind of England, Britain kind of stuff. London isn't like that. London is a vibrant, modern city of true Europe, because of all the people coming from all over Europe to work here. So don't think that it's just England here. It is so much more than that. But don't worry, you can still have your high tea at 4, and you can have your picture in the phone booth and those kind of things, and wave at the Queen and see the changing of the guard. They do have those really good English things, but don't think it's just England here. This is an international city. And that leads to the fourth don't. Don't just eat at the pubs when you come here. Yes, you do need to eat at the pubs, whether you're gonna have a beef burger or you're gonna have a steak and kidney pie or bangers and mash, all these really typical English foods. But the thing is, London gives you the opportunity to explore. Remember I talked about all those different nationalities here? There's that many nationalities of restaurants as well, and you have fantastic restaurants here in London. And the thing is, this place is expensive. But the difference between expensive and not as expensive and medium price ones aren't that much, so you can actually eat a decent meal, go a little bit higher and have the better version of the meal than other places, so there is that. And that kind of goes in with the fifth don't we have is, don't expect to go home with a lot of money in your wallet, okay? London is expensive. The hotels, the transport I was talking about, some of the museums. I mean, I remember when I went to Madame Tussauds with the conversion rate, it was $50 to go in. That's why I'm never really promoting it very much to go there. And you can really spend a lot of money when you're here, hitting the pubs and getting a beer for £4 or £5. Uh-oh. That's like $7 or $8. It adds up really quick, especially when you got a nice day like today. You're gonna be out with the pubs, having some drinks with your friends or some of the locals you meet here. And just know this is not a cheap experience, so don't expect to go home with a lot of money. That's why I say for number 6, don't forget about the free stuff. There's a lot of great free museums and free things to do here in London. My favorite, the British Museum. It's free to go. You can see the Rosetta Stone, how they figured out how to read hieroglyphics. You can go see, you know, the sarcophagi of the Egyptian pharaohs. You can see the Greek stuff. You can see all kinds of things from all over the world there, and it's one of the coolest museums you can go to. And whether you're young or old, you will love it. It is just that awesome of a museum. But there's not just that. Yes, going and seeing Big Ben and Parliament, just going by like, wow, you know, you have that kind of vacation moment. Look, kids, Big Ben, Parliament. You can't help yourself getting in awe because you walk around here and you see so many sights that you've seen in movies and all kinds of stuff that it really makes you go, oh, look, there's the globe. Yes, it costs a lot of money to go in, but it's free to look out from the outside. Go watch the changing of the guard in the morning, you know, at Buckingham Palace. There's all kinds of cool free stuff, so don't miss out on that because you don't always have to spend a lot, okay? Yes, sometimes it's worth the money. Going to Westminster Abbey and paying to go in there, that is worth the money. Other things might not be. Now, my 7th don't is don't expect to get anywhere on a Sunday morning. This is for my European travelers that are going to be using Ryanair and EasyJet, and they're going to have those early morning flights, you know, like 6 a.m. from Stansted or something like that. Sunday mornings in London, it seems like it's when they're always doing construction on a train track or maintenance on a tube line or things like that. And the tube lines and stuff like that might not be working, or you might not be able to get to the tube to connect to the train and those kind of things. So if you have a chance, choose a flight later in the day on Sunday to fly out. I'm actually flying out on a Sunday here, and I got a 2:30 flight because I knew if I took that 8 o'clock in the morning flight, I might end up taking a taxi out to Stansted for £100, okay? Now the thing is, if you want, you know, save money in terms of those airports, a lot like TerraVision, there's other kinds of other bus companies that'll go between the airports. They might go from Victoria Station, but you still have to get there, and getting that cab at 5 in the morning or 4 in the morning from, you know, from from Greenwich to there, that can add up as well and actually cost more than your cheap flight ticket, okay? So be careful with that. The 8th don't I have is don't mess up with the queuing. Look, Brits and English people in general are very much polite, straightforward people. Your please and thank yous and your sorries. Make sure you bring your manners, but especially when it comes to queuing or forming a line, the Brits love their lines and they follow their lines. And if you get out of line or try to button line or cut in line, ooh, you will suffer the ire of the Brits, okay, of the Londoners. So make sure you do mind your P's and Q's, and also the P's and Q's meaning what you say, but also the Q, the line, okay? And the first thing that's going to shock you when you're here is the sticker shock. London is expensive. Hotels, you know, accommodation, going out to eat, the non-free museums, they're all really pricey. And the exchange rate usually doesn't go in your favor if you're from the US or Europe and things like that. So that's the first thing that's going to shock you is, oh my God, this is an expensive place to go. Now, the second thing that's going to shock you is, well, how can I say this? It's probably the thing that's going to induce your heart attack shock when you are here, and that's the fact that they drive on the left side of the road. So you need to look right and then left and then right, because you're coming from Germany or the US. You look left and then look right and go. Here, the car's coming from the other way, and I can't tell you how many tourists I've seen looking the wrong way, and they step out, and then a cab driver's like, and like, oh my God. I mean, I saw 3 people yesterday almost die because they were looking the wrong way. So that's the second thing that'll shock you is cars going the other way, heart attack inducing, oh my God, I almost got killed there. The third thing that's going to shock you when you come to London is how international this city is. I mean, I know we're in England, you know, but you don't really feel like it all the time. Well, yes, you do when you got, you know, the Buckingham Palace over here, Trafalgar Square, Piccadilly Circus, but the city truly is international. Probably the most international city in the world. You're going to have your high tea, you know, at 4 o'clock with crumpets and scones and all those things. It'll be served to you by an Italian waitress, or you're going to go to the pub, right? The quintessential England, London experience is going to eat at a pub. Go getting a pint at the pub. Well, that person pouring that pint might be from Poland. And the city is so international, so it's got great food from around the world. People from all over come here, so that is pretty cool. But it is shocking how not super English it is when you are here. But there are still some cool English stuff, like seeing the change into the guard and stuff like that. Now, the fourth shock we have on there is kind of help you with the sticker shop side of things, and that is how many great free things there are to do in London. Yes, it's expensive, but the best museum, the British Museum, where you can see, you know, artifacts from Greece and sarcophagi from the pharaohs in Egypt and all kinds of things like that, it's free to go in. The Tate Modern, you can go see the V&A where they have copies of great masterpieces and artwork from around the world. I mean, there's so many great free things to do. Just standing outside and taking in the historic buildings, you're gonna feel like I'm on a movie set. I saw this in a movie. You have that feeling when you're here, and that's what's really cool. And they have all kinds of great free things. So don't get suckered into going to some of the pay stuff. Some of the pay stuff is worth it. For example, going to Westminster Abbey, that is well worth the price of entrance. Other ones like Madame Tussauds, I don't know if it's really worth 25, 30 pounds, you know, so be careful with that. The fifth thing is gonna shock you is, look, it's sunny today. We actually have nice weather in London. Look, it doesn't rain every day here. I know I like to joke about the bad weather in London and the bad weather in England, but I'll be honest, you can have great days like this where it is sunny and the people go out to the pubs and all kinds of stuff and really make the city come alive. So if you are here, believe me, the weather may shock you that you can get a great sunny day like this. However, probably the real shock is it does rain a lot when you are here, so make sure you bring a jacket, because believe me, I know I actually have a jacket in my bag just in case this beautiful day ends and we have a little London shower come through. So we've gotten away from the clouds and the really nice sunny weather and warm weather, and now it's getting a little bit chilly. I need to have my jacket. So let's finish off number 6 through 10 of the 10 things that are going to shock you when you come to London. So the 6th thing that might shock you when you come here is how much people do drink here. Men, women, not children, but you know, it's just like how many pubs there are out there throughout London, how many bars and restaurants and nightclubs and stuff like that, and how much people really love to have a pint. If you're going down, you see the people leaving Canary Wharf from work and they're doing pub crawls on a Thursday. You see them pub after pub after pub, and it's amazing how much people do drink here in London, and they drink a lot, whether it's a pint of stout or an ale or a Peroni, which seems to be popular now, or a gin and tonic if you're in White Castle or whatever. There is drinking going all over the place, and that does kind of shock travelers because they're like, the English are so buttoned up and refined, and they're sitting there having a pint like all the time. But that is one of the quintessential things of coming to London, is going to the pub and having a pint, have them get the ale where they crank it out for you. And I mean, people, if you watch my videos before, I haven't always been the biggest fans of the ales, but on this trip I've made it a point only to drink ales while I've been here, and they're starting to grow on me, and you'll see that that is just part of coming here. But it'll shock you is how much people do drink here. Which leads into the 7th thing that might shock you is the pub's last call is at 11. They're drinking a lot. They start early in the day. But then the pubs close at 11. You're like, whoa, whoa, whoa. I mean, think about it. If you're coming from Spain or Portugal on your trip, at 11 o'clock, people are starting to think about maybe getting ready to go out. Here, pubs are closed. You got to find another, you know, nightclub or something like that to go to. So it does kind of shock people when they're like, wait, it's 11, the pubs are closing? What's going on here? So do realize that the pubs do close at 11, so get your drinking in earlier, I guess. So that might be shocking for tourists that are coming here for a good pub time, good time, all right? Now, the 8th thing that shocks tourists when they come here is how good the tourist infrastructure is here. I mean, the English are extremely well organized, and here in London, it's no different. And what's cool is that means there's tons of hotels, there's tons of restaurants, there's tons of nightclubs and bars and theaters you can go to, and operas and all kinds of really cool things you can see. You can see famous actors work on a play on the West End, and you could do all this really cool stuff here. But also, if you're a tourist, you can do this on your own with all the information that's out there. The tube is easy to use. You can go get your Oyster card and top it up and do that. You know, make sure you tap in and tap out. I mean, it gets expensive, but the thing is, you can really get around, and the cops will help you, and the people will help you, and it is a really cool thing. So if you do get lost, ask the shopkeeper, hey, which way should I go? They will do a good job. But that tourist infrastructure here, man, that organization that the English have, plus with all the tourists here, they really kind of put it together well. And what's funny is you see the Londoners here, and it's almost like, I mean, they know that there's lots of tourists here, but they just kind of go on with their lives, and they don't, sometimes it doesn't seem like they interact with the tourists or notice them there. It's just part of their normal day stuff. And it is kind of cool, but man, the tourist infrastructure here, shockingly how good it is. You'll be fine. That's why I tell people, looking for a first trip to Europe, England and London's a really easy do because they have it all set up for you. So that is kind of shocking how well it is done. Now, the ninth thing that might shock you when you come here is how big this city is. Look, you are going to be using the tube to go to all these different places around the city, but when you look at how big London is, what you need to realize, there's different neighborhoods and all kinds of different stuff all over. Last night we went out on the east, on the East End, and we went, saw a show the night before in the West End. Maybe you go to Greenwich and go do something. Soho, Notting Hill, Chinatown. There's so many different districts throughout here that people think, oh, well, London must be kind of a historic center. I see the City of London, I go see the Tower of London, and I'm done. No, go explore when you're here, see the other districts around town, because you can find fantastic restaurants, different nightlife, different cultures, different people in each of these kind of districts, and it is a really cool thing, because then you really see, remember that internationalism, the really melting pot of London? You can really see that when you go and explore the different neighborhoods. So, and the 10th thing that'll probably shock you when you come here to London is the cops don't have any guns. Or if they do have guns, they have like big machine guns. I know in the US our cops always have a firearm on the side, but here the bobbies, the cops here, they don't. They have their walkie-talkie and some other things. And the thing is, they're really super friendly and helpful. So if you're not sure where to go, the cops, again, that service and that tourist infrastructure and the manners and all those kind of things that you have here in England, they come out and the cops are very helpful. Oh, you need to go this way, sir. Go that way, sir. They are fantastic, but not having the gun is kind of shocking sometimes for tourists. But then when they see the guys with the big machine guns, they're like, oh, wow. So when they do have them, they really do have them. So that can be shocking for a tourist. Going to the pub is something you have to do when you're here. And no, you don't have to drink when you go there. You can just go and get some pub grub. And so what I want to do in this video is give you kind of the typical dishes you see at a pub, whether you're in Scotland or England or Wales or Northern Ireland, because it is something that you want to have when you are here. You just got to do it. And one thing I've seen of all my travels around the United Kingdom is about 80% of the menus at pubs are pretty much the same. So I want to give you kind of the typical foods that pop up on those pub menus so you know what to expect when you hit the pub. And the thing is, it's just like any bar around the world. There's always the starters, there's the main dishes, and there's the desserts, the puddings. And so I'm kind of going to go through those. And one thing you'll notice when you come to pubs in the UK, a lot of them will have starters or appetizers, or they'll call them tapas, whatever you want to call it. But the thing is, they have this kind of deal. It's like 1 is an appetizer, 3 can be a meal, and 5 is for you to share with your friends. And some of the typical starters you're gonna see when you're here are fried halloumi cheese, which is basically cheese battered and fried. You'll notice there's a theme with the battered and fried stuff when we're here, but that's one thing you'll see. Another thing you'll see probably when you're going around, you might see goujon, like chicken goujon, which are just a fancy word for chicken tenders. Yeah, that's there. And honestly, if you're with your kids and you're not sure what they want, they'll probably actually like stuff off the starter menu more than they will off the entrees. So just have a heads up for that. And if you're going to be going to, Scotland, it's probably we're going to find haggis on the menu is in the starters, because a lot of people don't really do haggis for a full meal. They'll get like haggis balls, right? A little fried balls of haggis or a little cooked haggis. That's kind of a nice introduction to haggis when you're in Scotland, is to have that starter version of it to see if it's really something you like. Some people love it. I know Liam loves it, but it's not really for everybody. So I want to put that in there. Also, you can never go wrong with chips. The big fat French fries from my American friends, the big steak fry kind of thing they have here. You can get those as well, and you're not going to go wrong. What's cool in different parts around the country, you might have different sauces that go with the chips. It might just be simple, ketchup and vinegar and salt and stuff like that. Other places it might have curry sauce or gravy for it. So there's a lot of options there for you that you're going to see. I mean, that's one of the things I see some variation is in what's coming with the chips. And then for my American friends, I'm going to tell you right now, don't get the nachos. A lot of time all that nachos are here is just chips, tortilla chips with some nacho cheese sprinkled on top, and that's it. So don't expect like the full big plate of nachos. And I think that's important for travelers that are coming here. Those appetizers really are small plates. It's like it's a nice little appetizer. It's not something you're thinking that it's going to really like fill you like in some other countries, all right? So one thing to know about. Now, let's get into the real meat and potatoes kind of thing when we're talking about pub grub. And I think if we're looking at meat and potatoes, well, we should go with bangers and mash. If you're not sure what bangers and mash is, it's sausage and mashed potatoes. And it's like spiced up mashed potatoes that are so much better than just plain, boring mashed potatoes with the sausages on there. Oh, maybe a little gravy on top. Oh, that is one of those things. It's going to be on everywhere. Like here, I've seen it some places, sausage and mash, but honestly, usually have a couple sausages on there on the mashed potatoes and you'll be good to go. Another thing you'll see in a lot of the pubs are pies. And there's a lot of different pies, but probably the most common pub grub one is a steak and ale pie. And what it is, it's pastry, and inside the pastry, the pie pastry, will be, you know, chunks of beef and a gravy in there, and you'll eat that, and that's really good. But the thing is, it's not just steak and ale pies. You might see a chicken pie, you might see a veggie pie. So there's different kind of pies that might pop up. In some pubs, we'll literally have a list of like 8 or 9 different pies, but that's one of those things that's truly a really, you know, British kind of thing you gotta eat when you're here. And I mean, it's just wonderful. Have a pie when you're here, okay? Now, another thing that you can get at the pub, which you should probably get somewhere else, but it's still okay to get here, is fish and chips, okay? And the thing is, most people say, oh, don't go to the pub for fish and chips. You need to go to the chippy. But as a traveler, you don't see a lot of chippies, okay? Because they're more in residential areas. It's harder to find at a town like here in Chester. So your best bet is to go to the pub and have fish and chips. And usually it's either cod or haddock that's battered like a beer batter and then fried, and it's fantastic with some chips, i.e. French fries, and then you get mushy peas. So imagine somebody took peas and just smushed them up for you. There you go. And that's what you have. I mean, this is actually a really good thing, and you'll see that all over the place. Another pub staple, and that's not just pubs here in the UK, but pubs all over the world, is actually a beef burger, okay? If you get the burgers here, they're really good. Like British beef is actually really good, okay? And so sometimes you actually see steak and fries here too. That could be another good thing, but a beef burger with, you know, cheese and bacon on it and then all the other accoutrements, oh, so good. And that's kind of like a nice standby when you go to the pub, and you'll see the locals getting burgers all the time because it's a thing here. Now, another pub favorite, which you'll actually see in other kinds of restaurants as well, but it does show up in the pubs relatively often, so don't be surprised if you see it, is chicken tikka or chicken tikka masala, which a lot of people think, wait, isn't that an Indian dish? No, it's not. It's actually the national dish of England, okay? So you might see that at the pub as well, which is, you know, chopped up chicken and like a creamy tomato saucy kind of thing with like really good spices in there on a bed of rice. Oh my God, it's so good. It's well worth getting, especially if you're kind of tired of the traditional like pub grub kind of food. It gives you a little bit of a different option. Now, one thing you need to realize, when you come to the pubs here, they will actually give you the calorie counts of the food and the add-ons on there, and it will really have an impact on your meal choices, because when you start to look at that bacon cheeseburger delight with onion rings and chips and stuff, and it's like 1,700 calories, even a fat guy like me is like, maybe I need to make better choices with my life. But I mean, that's one of the things you will see when you're here, so that might influence your choices on the foods. And so you might want something lighter, okay? And usually when you go to a pub, there'll probably be at least a soup of the day you can try, and it changes all the time, depends where you are. If there's anything with fish in it, I always recommend that because that's always good. You can have that. Also, there's gonna be a lot of different sandwiches. If you want something like a lighter sandwich, that can be a nice alternative as well. And what's cool, when you go to the pubs, they usually have a vegetarian or a vegan option as well, because not everybody here loves the beef and the steak and ale. There's people that do go gluten-free, and they do go dairy-free, and they do go, you know, meat-free, and it's a normal thing. And what's cool, if you have allergies when you go, they'll ask you, is there any allergies? Is there anything we need to know about? And people are very forthcoming with that and very helpful with it, and they'll make sections and help you out with it. So that's one of the things that's really cool at the pubs and just restaurants in general in the UK. And the thing is, if you're coming here on a Sunday, though, I do recommend you get a Sunday roast. And this is one of those things that literally is only available on Sunday, like lunchtime, afternoon. And what a true Sunday roast is, you got roast beef, you got, you know, your roasted potatoes and your veg there, and a Yorkshire pudding on there. Yes, it is a big fortifying. You're like, yes, this is a Sunday roast. This is something I come, I sit, and then I can't move the rest of the day kind of thing. And when you see the pubs, they'll all have it announced that it's only on Sundays. Okay, so if you're here on a Sunday, go to the pub and grab it. The thing is, it might not go all night long, so it's more of like a lunch afternoon kind of food kind of thing on a Sunday, so you want to grab that. And the thing is, it's not always roast beef, because a Sunday roast, there might be chicken options or turkey options, so that's what's nice, is they do have other options out there for you.
And I gotta tell you, if you are here on a Sunday, go get a Sunday roast if you got the chance, because it's one of those things you have to have. That Yorkshire pudding, the meat, the veg, everything together. It is something that's really quintessential, like the pub life and Sunday roast time. I mean, you just gotta have a Sunday roast. Like, it's just one of those things that all the English people would just be like, oh yes, you have to have a Sunday roast. It's so good. So don't miss out on it.
And then we look at our puddings, and there's going to be a lot of different puddings that are out there. That's one thing, is the international nature of the UK. You have a lot of different international puddings that'll be on there. Puddings mean dessert, not gelatinous, desserty kind of stuff, okay? Probably the most important pudding to have is sticky toffee pudding. So it's like a caramely, datey bread pudding with caramel over top and maybe some custard with it. Some people put ice cream on it, but honestly, get it. That is my favorite dessert here. My mom and I, when we come to the UK, we literally just try different restaurants just to have their different sticky toffee puddings, because it's that good, okay?
Hey, I do want to add a few things here about the pub grub, because we talked about the food, but I want to talk about the atmosphere when you're there. Going to the pub in England and Wales and all over Britain, it's just really an experience, okay? Like I like to say, is pub life is a thing when you're here. And so when you're going, one thing I want to say is, you might want to make reservations, especially if you're going to be going to kind of historic, famous ones like the Old Thatch Tavern here in Stratford-upon-Avon. It's the oldest one in town, so you can go during the day and get something, but they might tell you, hey, we got to get off this table by 7:30 because it's reserved. So don't forget, you might want to get a reservation at some of these pubs, especially if it's of a tourist town like here in Stratford, where during the weekends and during the holidays, this place gets packed. You want to do that. Also, don't let the names throw you off, whether it's a more serious name or a silly name or a fun name or a historic name. The pub names are pretty awesome when you're here, so maybe don't forget to take pictures or at least write down the names of the pubs you go to. And if you're not sure what to order, I've found that the service at the bar when you go to the pubs, they're actually usually pretty friendly. And so if you're like, hey, is there something that's from here or something I should have or something you recommend? I would go with their recommendation, because they're not working off a commission kind of thing. So they're really pretty honest with it. So it makes it a really nice experience when you go to the pub. But I also got to say, if you've got kids, don't expect to be able to take the kids to eat in them at night. That's more of a lunchtime, early dinner thing. Because some are like, hey, it's too late for the kids to come in, so that might be an issue. Something I got to add with the pub grub. One thing I would tell you, when you go to the pubs, some of them will have different menus. Like some might have evening menus as well.
And then the last thing I want to talk about when you're coming to the pubs is really, you have to realize is they don't have waiters that come to your table. When you go to a pub, look on your table and see if there's a number on your table, like a little sign of the number. It might be literally drilled into the table, or where they have the menus, there might be a little number there. You need to memorize that number, know what you want to order, and then you walk up to the bar and put your order up at the bar and you pay there and you give them your seat number, and then they bring your food to you, okay? So just be aware of that, because I have seen tourists that are just sitting there going, why is no one serving me? What's going on here? Well, it's because you're supposed to go up to the bar, okay? All right, so we came here to Stratford-upon-Avon, one of the day trips that's going to be on this list, and I want to tell you, this list is not the end-all be-list of day trips from London, okay? So if there's a place you suggest, put it down in the comments below, or before we get started, put where you would think to go down below and see if it comes up in the list. Because honestly, there's so many places you could go from London that this can't get everything. What I'm going to do is kind of give you some groupings that might make it easier for you to decide what we want to do. And I'm going to start off with this group. It's the college town trip, okay? And if you think about college towns, there's two big college towns you want to see in England, and one is Cambridge and the other one is Oxford. And they both will give you a great experience of seeing what it's like to be a student in England. However, they do have two very different vibes. So Cambridge, I feel, is much more of a university town. You go there, you're like, oh yeah, this is a college town. This is the young vibe, the kind of thing. The city is all about the university. Whereas when you go to Oxford, you definitely get much more of there's a university and a city together kind of vibe to it. So it's a different kind of feel to it when you go there. And you'll notice that when you're there. But the thing is, they both have some stuff you can do, like visiting the colleges when you're there. You want to do that no matter what, because when you go and you see the buildings of the colleges in Oxford and in Cambridge, they're gorgeous.
Like they're straight up gorgeous. You'll see the little courts in there inside to check it out. It's just beautiful to see. Now, if you're looking at going to Cambridge, I would say the two best colleges to see are King's College and Trinity College. Those are the ones that are just gorgeous to do, okay? Another thing you can do when you're there is just go punting. If you're not sure what punting is, you know there's people on the river and you see them in the boat and they're like pushing themselves along. Yes, that's punting, okay? So you can do that in Cambridge. Also, you can do the punting when you're in Oxford. And both places, when you're going along the rivers, you're going punting along, it's great to see the college buildings when you're there. I just feel that Cambridge, that one, the punting along there, you see so many more of the college, you get so much more of that college vibe that if you're going to choose between the two, I would choose Cambridge over Oxford, but it's up to you. They both make great day trips, okay? Now, my next day trips I want to tell you about are more the castle and palace vibe, okay? Now, there's a lot you can go to that are nearby, but I'm going to say probably the two most important ones. One is going to Windsor Castle, okay? You've heard about it. Windsor Castle, oh, isn't that where the royals live? Yes, that's where the royals lived, okay? So you can go there and you can see that and do a tour, and it is gorgeous. Like you see that, you really feel the pomp and circumstance of the monarchy over the years, but it's a cool thing to do. Or you can go to Hampton Court. Hampton Court is where you get to see where Henry VIII played tennis, among other things, when he was there. And I personally like Hampton Court better than Windsor because it's much more of an experience when you're there. And what's cool at Hampton Court is people are dressed up and they help explain all the different rooms, so it makes it a really nice experience when you're there. Now, if you're looking to see really, truly village life, like, my gosh, this is postcard village England, then probably your best day trip to do, and it'll be a full day trip, is going to the Cotswolds. And when you go to the Cotswolds, these are all those, you know, the yellow limestone buildings and the thatched roof kind of things. I mean, it is just so gorgeous to go see. And you'll probably see a castle along the way too, but just seeing like the row of the houses and the cottages when you're there, you're like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. And the thing is, you can drive there, you can do a tour. I will say, if you do the drive in the Cotswolds, don't be surprised you got to park a little bit out of the village and then walk your way in, just because it's such a popular place, especially on weekend and holidays, especially in the summertime, because it's so gorgeous. But it is one of those things you can do. And if you do a tour, the tours will take you to like literally like they'll take you like 10 different places along the way. So you'll see a lot of the Cotswolds when you go there. So if you do kind of a day tour from London to see the Cotswolds, a lot of them will throw in a day trip to here in Stratford-upon-Avon. And Stratford-upon-Avon is famous because of Shakespeare, of course. And thing is, when you come here, you can actually go to Shakespeare's birthplace, and what's cool is you go through and they have period pieces from that time, but you really see like where he would have lived, and they have a nice story that's there. And what's cool, they have people that explain the rooms to you, and they have videos that go along with it. Like you just have to have the QR code, so make sure you have data if you go there so you can, you know, watch those things. But it's really cool, and you go around, you can go to Anne Hathaway's cottage right outside the city. You can come here, you can go to the Royal Shakespeare Company has the theater right behind me over here that you can go see a show. But you're going around, it's really kind of a beautiful place. And keeping on with the boat theme on these day trips, here you can take a boat ride along the Avon River. And the thing is, like, it's pretty nice. It'll go down and you go see Holy Trinity Church where Shakespeare's buried. I mean, it's just really a nice little town. Now, I'll tell you though, this place gets packed because of the Shakespeare stuff. So you get tourists from all over the world that come here to get their pictures at Shakespeare stuff. So it can be a little bit busy, let's say. At least I would say a little bit busier than some of the other places when it comes to like tourist season than other times of the year. Except for maybe during the summer when you're going to think about our next day trip, and that's going down to Brighton. In Brighton, you go down there, you go to the pier and have a good time, but for me, what's great about going to Brighton is the Royal Pavilion. It is just an incredible architecture feat. It's so cool. The wrought iron inside, I mean, it's just, you go there and you're like, my goodness, this is just fantastic. But also when you go to Brighton, you can go to the beach when you're there, and it makes a nice, like, different away from the city day trip when you're there, okay? So if you go more towards the east of England, another day trip you can look at is going to Canterbury. You know, Canterbury Tales, yes, there's some silly things you can see along with that when you're there in animatronic form. But honestly, going to Canterbury, the cathedral that's there, St. Martin's Church, St. Augustine's Abbey, I mean, UNESCO World Heritage Sites there in Canterbury, it is a really great day trip to go to and simple to do as well. Now, my next day trip isn't really a city, it's a circle of stones. Yes, you can go to Stonehenge. It's not that far. You will see tons of tours that will put Stonehenge as a day trip or a half-day trip, or they'll do Stonehenge and Bath together. And I'll talk about Bath in a sec. When you go to Stonehenge, I mean, they have a great visitor center, and what's nice is you kind of walk up and you see it kind of pop up over the hill. You're like, oh, it's Stonehenge. And you walk around it, and no, you don't go inside of it. Now, there's some things you can, but when you do a normal tour, you can't do that. But it's really kind of cool to see how it was there and how they kind of have it set up, and you learn about the history of it. It's really a wonderful thing to do. Though I will say, half day, few hours, it's all you need there. It's not a whole day kind of thing. And I think that's why a lot of the tour companies actually put it together with going to Bath, because that is my next destination for you. A day trip to Bath. I mean, honestly, of all these ones that are on here, the place that deserves the most time, where you should probably spend the night or 2 or 3 or 4, is Bath, because Bath is gorgeous. Because they'll talk about the Georgian architecture there. It's the Georgian gem, because you have this incredible architecture that's there. The Royal Crescent, when there's the park right in front of it, you just kind of like sit and just take it in. You're like, oh my God, that is so cool. Like that architecture, but not just there, all throughout the city. The architecture is gorgeous when you're there. If you want to see historic things, the Roman baths that are there, yes, you can go and do a tour of the Roman baths. And if you want to take one of those thermal baths, there's some spas there that'll actually hook you up too. So you can do that. But also you want to go to the Bath Abbey when you're there, and make sure you look outside. You'll notice that one little angel crawling down the ladder. That's a bad guy. That's not a good angel. That's a bad angel. But honestly, going to Bath, that's probably my favorite one to go to. And on my list of like top places to go in England, Bath is always on my list. So that's another great day trip you can do. And if you want to be like really crazy and you're like, hey, you know what? I just really want to see something different. I want to go to a different country when I'm there. You can actually go to Paris as a day trip from London. Yeah, if you take the Eurostar train, it's like 2 hours and 15 minutes. So think about it, just over 2 hours, you could be at Gare du Nord in Paris and go see a few sites when you're there. Because if you take one of the morning trains, think about it. You take a morning train from London to get to Paris, you go there, you get in, you can go see a museum, go have lunch, go see a museum afterward, go to the Eiffel Tower, then come back and take one of the evening trains back. Heck, who wouldn't want to do that? You can get the Louvre, the Musée d'Orsay, Eiffel Tower, and a croissant, and be back in time for the pub at night. I mean, you can't really beat that for a day trip. And the thing is, there's so many great day trips to go to from London that I can't really like fault anyone for saying, Mark, you missed this. Mark, what about going here? What about going here? Yes, because literally with the trains, you could go to York. It's only a couple hours away. You can go to Liverpool, which I love as well. Like, it's not that far away. Chester. You can go to all these different places from London, and it's not that bad. But I thought I'd give you this list because these are kind of the traditional day trips that people go on, and these are all ones I've been on. So I just want to tell you, all of them are going to be good. You're going to enjoy all of them. Well, at least I did. So I hope you will as well. Now, the first thing you need to know is, depending where you're flying from, you could be ending up in one of 5 airports here in London. If you're coming from the US, usually you're coming into Heathrow or Gatwick. Both easy. They both have an express, Heathrow Express and Gatwick Express, which is more expensive than the local transport, but it does get you here. Stansted, if you're flying in with EasyJet or Ryanair, the cheap airlines, a lot of them go there. EasyJet also goes to Gatwick. And when you're going to come from Stansted, they also have a Stansted Express. There's a train that comes in, but there's also buses. And all the airports here have a bus that will bring you into town at a significantly lower price than any of the train services, okay? However, they do take significantly longer as well, so that would be one thing I would say. If you're going to be taking these trains in, a lot of times you're going to be coming into another station and you're going to have to take the tube when you go around. And the tube is the metro system here in London, you know, the subway system. It goes everywhere. If you got a pass, man, you can go anywhere you want to go. But the thing you need to know is the tube or the subway, you know, in London is expensive. If you don't have what they call an Oyster card, you're going to pay maybe £3 per ride. For my American friends, that's about $5 per subway ride. Yeah, insane expensive. So what you need to do is get an Oyster card. You pay like £5 or £6 for it, and what it is, it's a reloadable transport card that you can use on the subway, on the tube, or you can use on the buses and things like that. It just kind of ticks off the money. And what happens is, if you use the Oyster card, it actually charges you a lower fare. But the thing is, you cannot forget to tap in and tap out with your Oyster card, because if you don't tap out, they charge you like the whole largest fee they possibly can, and that can be a lot more expensive than just paying £3, okay? Now, another thing of the transportation around here is you can take the black cabs around here. I mean, the London cabbies are famous for their wit, their humor, and knowing where every freaking thing is in this town, and that's what's so cool. And the thing is, if you're gonna take a London cab, before you get in, you know, you look in the window and say, hey, I wanna go to Soho, or I wanna go to the Parliament. You tell them where you wanna go beforehand, and they say, sure, get in. You hop in, and they'll take you there, and you can ask them questions and all kinds of stuff, and they're usually very helpful. And the cabs can be kind of pricey when you are here, so just be a heads up on that one. They do have Uber and those things here, so you can use that to save money. There's also private
cars you can hire to take you places. So if you want to go to the airport and stuff like that. I will warn you, there are unlicensed cabs here as well, and that's up to you to take them. I recommend taking the black cabs or doing that. Now, in terms of the currency you have here, they use the British pound, okay? And it comes in various denominations, 5, 10, 20, 50, you know, you get the basic ideas. But also they have coins. There's a £1 coin and a £2 coin, and there's more smaller coins, you know? And that kind of leads us into something you need to know about money here. London is an expensive vacation destination. Places where you're going to stay, it's going to cost a lot of money. You're going to go out to eat, it's going to cost a lot of money. Drinking costs a lot of money. And the thing is, you got to watch out because some of the sites as well can be very pricey. St. Paul's or Madame Tussauds, which I don't think is worth the money, just FYI. The Tower of London. These things can really add up. But what's cool is here in London, they have tons of free stuff you can see. Like, you know, going to see the Parliament from outside, or going to the British Museum to see the sarcophagus from the Egyptians, or going to see the stuff from Greece. I mean, there's the Rosetta Stone. There's so many fantastic things at the British Museum, and the Tate Modern, the National Gallery. There's all kinds of really cool free stuff to do around town that you don't have to spend a lot of money when you are here. But just know, if you do go to a paid place like, you know, Westminster Abbey, which is really cool and well worth it, you will pay quite a bit. All right. Now, with the money, you might say, where should I exchange my money? Just bring your ATM card from your home. Make sure you let your bank in the US or your home country know that you're going to be in England. So therefore they know that, oh, this card's in England. They'll let you take out money. Because in general, when you use your debit card from your local bank, it usually gives you a lower, like a better exchange rate and less fees. Because if I take money out with my normal Visa card, well, they might add a 3% charge onto that and another charge here and there, and the bank here might have a charge. So your best bet is your ATM debit card from your home bank. Just let them know before you go. And also, ATMs are all over London, so you can get money anywhere. It's not a problem. And they do accept credit cards pretty much everywhere. So it's like the US that way, that you don't really need to get money because you can always pay with plastic. So that's helpful. Sometimes you do need some cash though, so have a few bills on hand or some coins on hand because they are worth something. Now, probably the most dangerous thing about London is the traffic, because they drive on the left side of the road here. So you know, if you're in the US or Germany, you look left, then right, and then left, and then you cross the street. Well, here you need to look right and then left and then right, because the cars are coming from the other direction. And that's where a lot of tourists actually do get hurt. I actually, every time I've come here, and I've been here a lot of times, I still catch myself a couple times going, whoa, I didn't look right first. So make sure you look right, left, right. Otherwise, so be careful for that. Other safety concerns you would have here, London is kind of a pickpocket place. It's not as bad as some of the other major cities in Europe, but you do need to pay attention at big tourist sites. Late night, they do like to have their drink here, so that might make some people feel uncomfortable. But overall, London's a really cool place, and it's not really too problematic with safety and things like that, so you shouldn't worry too much. Just watch out for the cars and the buses on the street, because that's where most of the tourists get hurt. Now, another thing you might want to do is you're going to take a lot of pictures here, because there's so many cool sites in London, whether you're taking a boat tour on the Thames, or you're up in the gallery up at the very top of St. Paul's, or of course, Big Ben Parliament, kids. You're going to take a lot of pictures, your phone's going to get low on battery. You might want to know is, how are the plugs here? Now in the US, you know, we have the two flat plugs like this, and then in mainland Europe, they have the two circle plugs like this. Here in England, they have a different one. There's 3 flat things, 2 this way and then 1 up on top like that. And the thing is, when you buy an international converter, make sure you get one that works in multiple countries, because if you do that, it will almost always have the UK, Europe, and the US, and that'll take care of you just fine. That's what I bring with me. Now, another thing you might notice about this video here in London is, it's not raining. No, it does not rain all the time in London, but it does rain a lot. So make sure if you're coming, make sure you bring like a jacket or a poncho, if you will, something small you can take with you. I have a sweatshirt actually with me to wear, because it can rain out of nowhere when you are here. I've been here a lot of times. I remember we were here for New Year's one year, and literally I felt like it was raining horizontally. Okay, so when it rains, it can really rain. And most likely when you are here, it will have a rain here and there. So make sure you do bring some, waterproof shoes and some kind of waterproof jacket, just in case. But the thing is, when it's nice weather here, the people go out. They have their beers outside of the pub and they're eating outside. You see this? Well, there's not so many people now outside, but there were a ton of people at this park when I got here a little while ago, and they really enjoy being outside when they can be outside. So make sure if you get that chance, do go out and enjoy things. Don't just sit inside the pub when it's nice out. Get out, because then you'll get to meet the people. And that's one thing about London. People think, oh, London, England, it's Downton Abbey and all stuffy and the Queen will say hi to me all the time. No. London is an international city. You will hear Chinese, you will hear Spanish, you will hear Italian, you'll hear English, you will hear Scottish, you'll hear all kinds of stuff. And that's what makes this city so cool, is it's a really like integration of all these places throughout the world here in Europe, and that's what's cool. It's like a New York with all the different, you know, people and all the different nations and all the different religions and all the different, you know, people, and it's a really cool thing, and that adds to the feel of London. So when you go to different sections of town, you can really feel it. You know, you don't just go to Piccadilly Circus to see the one statue and the things, and Leicester Square to see the pictures. You go to Chinatown to have really good Chinese food, or you're going to the West End to see a show with actors from all over the world that you've seen in movies and all kinds of stuff. And this international feel of London really is one of the coolest things about it. That's why a lot of people move here to work, because you can be from anywhere and still be a Londoner. So it's really kind of a cool thing. And the last thing I want to say is, what are you going to eat when you're here? Look, I know England doesn't have the greatest reputation for food. I mean, no one would say, I'm going to England for a culinary vacation. Look, you can hit up the pubs or the chippies and stuff like that and get your really English food, like your fish and chips and your steak and kidney pie, or if you're here on a Sunday, the Sunday roast, with Yorkshire pudding. There's all kinds of great English things you can do in the pubs. But what's cool is, like I was talking about before with Chinatown, the Chinese food, you have so many different nationalities here, and they've brought their cuisines from all over the world, and you can eat great here, whatever it is you want. I spent 15 years living in Europe, and whenever I missed America and I wanted to have some like more international food, I would come here for great American food, great Mexican food, great Chinese food, all kinds of stuff. And that's what's cool about London. You can eat and drink so well. And we've got 5 tips for you if you're going to come to London. The first tip we have for you is do a mix of free sites and pay sites. There's a lot of great free sites actually here in London that you can do, and free activities. For example, you get to watch the change into the guard here, you know, in the morning and see that. You get to go to the British Museum, which is the sarcophagi from Egypt and from ancient Greece. They have relics there and all kinds of great stuff. The V&A, or the Natural History Museum, all kinds of great museums here are free, but there are some you want to pay for. Maybe you're an English fan and you want to see Shakespeare's Globe. You can go see that and pay for that, or go to Westminster Abbey. But I'm going to tell you is the first tip is don't miss out on the free stuff. There's a lot of great free stuff to do. Even though it is kind of pricey when you are here, you can save money on that. The second tip we have for you is realize that accommodation here in London, no matter where you are, it is expensive, so expect to pay a pretty penny no matter where you are. So don't be like, oh, my hotel is so expensive. Look, it is not cheap to come here, it's not cheap to eat here, it's not cheap to be here. Money will disappear, and accommodation follows that. So just get something that you find acceptable, and then you can use it as a base to see a lot of the city, okay? The third tip I have is bring a raincoat. Now, I know I'm here on this beautiful day, sunny. I was wearing shorts yesterday, it's fantastic. But I do recommend, if you're coming here, even in the summer, bring a rain jacket and wear shoes that are water repellent, because it will rain eventually. No, it doesn't rain every day, obviously, with this, but you really should have something, even if it's just a poncho to wear or just a light jacket to bring during the summer for a little rainstorm. I keep actually a jacket in my backpack, so when I go around, if there is some rain, I can get covered up. But if you don't want to bring something, it's okay. When it does rain, there'll be people selling like 5-pound umbrellas out on the street, so you can do that, you'll be okay. So the fourth tip we have for you is get an Oyster card. Look, transportation here in London is expensive. Whether you're taking a cab, which are the black cabs are really cool to take, or you're doing Uber, or using public transport, it is expensive. And this city is huge, and you want to go to different parts of the city, so you're going to use public transport. So you're going to use the tube, you know, mind the gap. And the thing is, when you take the tube, it's like £3 to take the subway, you know, the tube, a stop or 2 stops or stuff like that. It's really expensive. Oh, for my American friends, £3 is like $5 for one subway ride. So what you want to do is you want to get an Oyster card. It's a top-up card. And if you use an Oyster card, it's like half price for the tube rides, so it kind of pays for itself pretty quickly. But I will say, if you do use the Oyster card, you want to tap in when you go in, and then you want to tap out when you get out, because if you don't tap out, it actually charges you like a higher amount, and that's not really cool. So make sure you do that, okay? So get that Oyster card and use the public transport. And if you can take the double-decker buses, it's cool because when you go through the city, you see all these places. I saw that in James Bond. I saw that in that movie or that TV show. It is really cool. Like, oh, Buckingham Palace. Oh, look, kids, Big Ben, Parliament. You have those things out there. And the fifth tip I have for you is enjoy things English and international here. Because London, yes, it is the capital of the British Empire and of England and all these things. But what's cool is the influx of people here in England. They're from all over the place. Your pint is being poured by a Polish guy, and your tea is being brought to you by an Italian lady, and you have all this international flavor here, but you can do really English things here too. Doing a pub crawl through the historic part of town is always fun. Seeing the change of the guard, having tea and crumpets and afternoon tea. You can have those, English things here, but also the international stuff. I know tomorrow we're going to have dim sum in Chinatown, one of the best Chinatowns outside of China. I mean, the food is fantastic, and they have all these great districts around here. Go to Notting Hill, go to Soho, and experience all these different places, because it's not Downton Abbey here. They have some of that English Downton Abbey stuff, but it's a really international city with all kinds of stuff, and make sure you get out and explore more.
And what I thought I'd give you guys is basically the basic transport information getting to the airports and from the airports, because there are a lot of options from buses and trains and cabs and things like that. And there's a lot of options and also a lot of variety in prices, okay? So we'll start with talking about Heathrow, then we'll do Gatwick, then Luton City, and then Stansted, which is the big Ryanair and hub. Now, one of the things is for all of these, cabs are extremely expensive, okay? For example, if you're going to go from the center or Westminster, let's say, to Heathrow at a normal time, it might cost you around 70, 80 pounds. One of the options you do have is to take the Heathrow Express, which goes every 15 minutes from Paddington Station. It's only 15 minutes, I mean, it's really fast, but the thing is, it's like the most expensive per mile, per kilometer train in the country, so there's other options out there. So what I recommend you do coming to Heathrow is take the Piccadilly line. Now, yes, it does take longer to take the tube. It takes a little bit less than an hour if you're coming from the center of London to come out here. It is a much more affordable option, and if you have time, it does drop you off in the center of the city instead of Paddington, where you're going to have to take a tube anyway to get out of there. Now, there also are a lot of bus options from here and other normal train options, which I'll show now. Now, the second major airport that we're going to talk about is Gatwick. Now, Gatwick, there's the Gatwick Express train that comes in, which honestly, if you take the normal South train going into town, has 2 more stops, takes 5 more minutes, and it's basically 1/3 of the price or 1/5 of the price. Either one is fine. It just depends if you want the guaranteed getting in 30 minutes versus 35 minutes or something like that. There are buses from there, and I'll post some of the prices and some of the other things here. Of course, there are buses, cab fares, and things like that. Next, you have City Airport, which isn't as used as some of the other airports, but here's the information for them. Then you have Luton, and Luton is one of the cheap airline hubs. You can take a train in, but it can add up in price, and it is difficult to get to on a Sunday, so be careful with that. But here's some of the information on getting there for trains, buses, and cabs. And then we have Stansted, the home of Ryanair. And guys, Stansted is, Ryanair has great prices to fly to Stansted, but the problem is when you try to get from Stansted into town, that price difference you get for not taking British Airways or Lufthansa or whatever, you kind of lose that, because you are going to spend a lot of money getting to and from that location. And if you're coming to London on a weekend, believe me, the trains and the buses don't run as often, so you can get stuck taking a cab, and especially if you have an early morning flight like I did one time, I ended up spending like 120 pounds to get a cab from Greenwich to Stansted, so that completely eliminated all savings and tripled the cost of my actual flight. Now, there are other options to get there, the buses that run from there and things like that, and I'll put the information for them on right now. So the first thing you want to do when you come here is go to Buckingham Palace and see the changing of the guards, because it really is a very quintessential London experience. I've been to London probably 30 times in my life, and I've probably seen the change of the guard probably 15 times, and every time I come see it, I actually saw it this morning again, and every time you come, it really is a cool experience. That's the first thing you should do. second thing you should do when you come here is, of course, you got to see Big Ben and Parliament. You see it in all the postcards, you see it in all the movies and all kinds of stuff. It's a really cool thing to check out. You can actually go in and see the House of Parliament as well. But basically from the outside, it's fantastic. So just check that out. When you're there, you're going to number 3, Westminster Abbey, the church, Poets' Corner, Innocents' Corner, all the kind of stuff where the kings and queens and princes and princesses get married. But it is one of the best churches in Europe to check out. Amazing architecture outside and inside. It is chock full of amazing monuments and statues and all kinds of stuff, okay? Now, the fourth thing you should do when you come here, I want to say this is kind of a fun thing I like to do with my friends, is take a walk along the Thames or take a boat tour on the Thames. Maybe it's a pub crawl along the Thames or a boat tour or whatever. And it is kind of cool because you get a lot of the history of the city, and it is a nice walk to kind of get outside in the big city. The fifth thing you want to do here is my favorite museum, the British Museum. They have the Rosetta Stone, the actual Rosetta Stone. They have, finds from all over the world, from Egypt, from Greece, and some people say it's a collection, some people say it's stolen or whatever, but it is fantastic. Probably the best collection of human history, architecture and stuff like that in the world, and you have to go there. And the best thing is it's free, okay? It is fantastic. The Egyptian stuff there, unbelievable. So that's number 5 on our list, the British Museum. Number 6 and 7, I'm going to, just say number 6, I want to put a lot of stuff together here, a lot of different squares and the circuses and stuff like that. One, you want to go to Piccadilly Circus so you can see the neon signs and the fountain there, or the statue there. 2, you go to Leicester Square when you're there, and that's where all the big movie theaters are, where they have the premieres and stuff like that. And right behind there is Soho, and you have, they have Chinatown there. So it is fantastic. And then you go to Leicester Square, and then you go to Trafalgar Square, and see Nelson's column there. There's a National Gallery there, great views, the lines, you got to climb on the lines and get a picture there, all kinds of great. So that's number 6. It's kind of all these places put together, all these squares you can check out, and there's tons more, which kind of leads us to number 7 on our list, and that's going to Hyde Park and going to the museums, the V&A and the Natural History Museum, Prince Albert Memorial that's in there at Hyde Park. It is fantastic, really nice to get a picnic kind of thing and go see some free museums. Awesome, okay? Number 8 on our list is St. Paul's Cathedral. Now, it is expensive to go up, but it is cool to go to the very top in the Whisper Chamber and do all kinds of stuff like that. I really do enjoy doing those things. Number 9, if you can get out and do a day trip, I'd recommend going to Hampton Court to see where the kings and queens of England were, hundreds of years ago. It is very cool. The whole complex is there. It is fantastic. And number 10, and my personal favorite thing, is here the Tower of London. Going to the White Tower, seeing the crown jewels. You have to take a tour with the yeomen or the beef eaters kind of stuff. It is fantastic. Now, the first thing you're going to hate about London is the weather. Now, I took off my jacket today. It's the middle of June, and it looks like people are wearing winter clothes when you go behind me. Okay, the weather here does suck. Okay, it does rain a lot. It is cloudy a lot. It is cool. So make sure you do bring a jumper. You do bring your jackets when you come, even if you're coming in July. Now, I'm saying that when you do have a sunny day here in London, it is fantastic. You can go out and enjoy stuff. It's really fun. Okay, but just know that the first thing you're going to hate is the weather. I mean, I was here for New Year's once, and it was raining like horizontally. It was crazy. Now, the second thing you're going to hate about London is it is expensive. Whether it's accommodation, food, the sights, it is very pricey here, so be ready for that. London is one of the most expensive cities in the world, but there are discounts, or cheap deals. If you can go to the British Museum, a lot of the national museums are free to go into, so you can save money that way. So be smart with it, and it doesn't have to be as expensive as you think it's going to be. Now, the third thing you're not going to like about London is it's a love and hate thing. Like, the tube is great. It goes everywhere. But the problem is there's a lot of delays on the tube, on the DLR, and all these things. If you want to get to one of the airports on a Sunday, dude, it's a disaster. Do not take morning flights on Sundays because you won't be able to get there. So just watch out for that, because there are lots of delays on the tube, on the things, and it gets a little annoying when you're in a hurry to do things. So it's kind of annoying. It's not really a hate because the tube does go everywhere, but the delays do kind of get on your nerves, and it is packed on the tube. So get ready for mind the gap and smush yourself in, okay? The fourth thing you're not going to like about London is it's very international. Well, you're going to love that too, but it's so international that you don't really get that English, British feel to it. Yes, we have Buckingham Palace and the Tower of London, all these great things, but it's so international. Sometimes you don't get that. You're expecting that Shakespeare, Downton Abbey kind of feel. You don't get that here in London because it is so international, okay? And the fifth thing you're not going to like about London is, guys, it's more of a safety thing. Make sure you're looking right, because the cars are going the opposite direction. So if you're driving around town, you got to be ready for that. But also when you're crossing the street, there will be at least, I know, the first few times you come, even now, this is probably literally my 30th time in London, I still have to go, oh wait, I almost got nailed there. So make sure you look left and right again, because the traffic goes the other directions, and I've seen a lot of tourists almost bite it, and I have seen some get hit. So be careful with that, okay? So those are the 5 things you're going to hate about coming to London. But what are the things you're going to love about London? Because, guys, this is a fantastic city. It is amazing.
And the first thing you're gonna love are the museums here. Guys, whether you're gonna go see palaces or go down to Hampton Court, go to the British Museum, which is fantastic, one of the best, like, history of the world museum out there, the V&A, the Natural History Museum. There's so many great museums here in London that literally you can spend months just going to museums, and a lot of them are actually free, the public ones. Now if you go to like Madame Tussauds, it's like $50, but just be prepared for that. But the museums here are fantastic. That's the first thing you're going to love. The second thing you're going to love is behind me, I just got to watch the changing of the guard, seeing all the British stuff that is here. Now I said it's hard to get that British feel here, but there are certain places you can go see it. You know, you get to see the Queen and you get to see Buckingham Palace and the changing of the guard, and you still get to have that kind of English British feel when you are here, even if it is a very international city. And that leads us into the third thing I love about the city is it is an international city. If you want to have Chinese food, you go to Chinatown and it tastes like you're in Beijing. You know, you want Brazilian, you want anything. They have everything here. People from all over the world come here. Something like 25% of Londoners weren't born in England. There's 300 languages spoke here, including wind language. Sorry, like I said, the weather sucks. The fourth thing you're going to love about coming to London is eating. I know we always make fun of, if you listen to my 5 Love and Hates of England, I say the one thing you're going to hate the most is the food. The thing is in London, that's not the case, because yes, you can have the pub grub, you know, your fish and chips, but here, that's so international, you can have food from anywhere in the world, and it's, you know, you go to a Chinese restaurant, there's Chinese people working there. You go into an American restaurant, there's Americans working there. I mean, it's really authentic food from all around the world, and you eat so well here, and you get to drink and party so well here. So I guess I'd say number 4 is, like, the entertainment and eating in London is fantastic. Going to the pubs, having a beer with the locals, all kinds of stuff, it is really a fun thing to do. And you do eat really well here, but remember, it is kind of pricey. And the fifth thing you're gonna love about London is, guys, this is the most organized and best put together infrastructure for tourism in Europe. You come here, the tube goes everywhere, there's tours for everything, there's information for everything. You ask any of the police guys, they will help you find anything you want. It is awesome. So the infrastructure and the organization of London is fantastic.